Comedy meets cosmic adventure. Chaos Twins, created by comedian Sam Tripoli and comic publisher Paranoid American, will sweep you off your feet. Join two girls with the astonishing ability to morph into animals, rally with their cryptid crew, and traverse diverse dimensions. But you don't have to take my word for it. Sign up now at chaostwins.com. In a place as curious as Crown City, adventure awaits at every turn. Meet Anna and Becca, two spirited souls navigating a world filled with wonders and weirdness, alongside their trusted allies, Biggie, Mathilda, and the Chupacabros. They'll stand against aliens, reptilians, and mysteries beyond imagination. Dive into their captivating tales and discover a world where anything is possible. For more information, visit chaostwins.com, samtripoli.com, and paranoidamerican.com.
Big up yourselves. Welcome back to another episode of the Secret Society of Good Guys. We are so excited tonight to initiate the newest member, which the initiation will go after the show, and Marisa can decide how she would like that. Marisa Acocella,
hey,
welcome to the Secret Society of Good Guys.
It's no secret that I love the Secret Society, so thank you for having me.
We are also excited to have you, and I thought you were the perfect person to come on and get into Mary with us.
Well, I love Mary. I'm a total Mary devotee, so I talk to Mary all day, so I might as well talk about Mary to you guys.
Yeah, I love it. Can't wait.
I love it. So what are your guys' Mary inspirations tonight? I know Paranoid American.
I came from a Mary, so.
That's good enough here. What are you guys up to?
Just marrying it up, you know.
Are you the
very
Virgin?
Mary. I am the Virgin Mary. Yes, I am. Halo.
And Isis?
I'm another version of the Virgin Mary.
Another virgin.
Yeah.
I love it. And then Marisa, what's the crown?
Well, the crown is Mary, the queen, the queen of the universe, the mediatrix. And because Mary always had a crown. This is also a scarf with Mary. I don't know if you can't really see it, but she's got a crown. Mary always has a crown, but I gave her an M. And this is my Mary from the Big Shebang. So I kind of am my Mary tonight.
We are going to be pulling up a whole bunch of your art. Sorry. Go ahead, Thomas.
I just said it's very super heroine-esque with the crown. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thomas, it sounds like your audio is coming through your desktop mic and not your mic.
Let's see.
I have.
There we go.
I didn't dress up, but I have representations of the people of Moor. Like this guy, the Gill man, kind of merman.
Do you think America is like Mary?
And these things,
that counts.
Maybe, yes, possibly. These things, the official names of these is Moai.
Okay.
And the people of New Zealand, that whole Polynesian civilization that kind of stemmed from those island nations somehow, were always kind of the legendary Moor. And I always wondered if she came from that kind of civilization, like the Mary, the name was like a cultural handoff or something, you know?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, Mary is like, when like you see the Virgin Mary and she's got like the robe of stars. I mean, that's her as Mary, Queen of the Sea. Like she's a queen of the cosmic sea. I like to think it's like they say that the space is filled with water. Well, that's the cosmic sea. I mean, that's like the fluid that gives birth. That's the birthing fluid. That's breaking the water. We were talking about that earlier. So that's the Mer. That's the Mary. Mary, star of the sea. She's queen of the sea. She's like the chick of the sea. She's like the queen bee of the sea.
I get like Moor, Mer.
The goddess of the sea.
Goddess of the sea. Yeah.
I think it's all saline. And I even think it's no mistake that we say holy sea, but then we also have the I representation. So we get the CEE and CEA, but it's just us saying the same holy sea.
That's a great point. I think you're kind of right about that.
Someone
think
said
about it.
maritime law.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
I think we're in Mary time right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Agreed.
So I know where it's such a big topic. Where should we start? Should we start at the beginning?
Very good place to start.
So where would the beginning be? Like at the very, very beginning of the
Well, if we're
essence?
gonna Julie
Oh.
Andrews, we have to marry Poppins
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
and
No.
Sound of Music.
Did you realize that Mary Poppins, her very name was like popping in? Did you? I didn't realize that until recently. She popped in like Mary Poppins.
Mary
She
popped
pops
in.
Yeah, she just popped in back on the timeline too because she was out of the timeline and now she's back on the timeline.
I heard she had a mouth like a sailor, and that on the set, like
That'd be great.
everyone was worried about if Dick Van Dyke, because I guess he was going through like the drinking phase still at this point,
Right.
that he might not be appropriate around the kids, and apparently he was like the perfect gentleman, and it was Mary Poppins that was just like F-bombing left and right the whole time.
Good job,
Julie Andrews was always my favorite. Now I know why.
Yeah, she's
We're so
spunky and
early.
pretty.
Yeah, right.
Into
Yeah.
the show, can we call him Penis Van Lesbian just until the censors stop being so harsh? If that would be okay. Yeah, Mary Poppins was the bomb.
Mhm.
I think I had a crush on her as a kid. Like, I don't know if it was a
She's
mommy.
beautiful.
Yeah, she's
Something
so
about her
beautiful.
smile and
Practically perfect in every
Yeah.
way.
yeah.
yeah. Mary Poppins. I know there's so much magic too in that whole entire show, from laughing like all the way to the ceiling, jumping in the drawings, like spoonful of sugar helping the medicine go down.
And all the protest happening and the banking and all of that.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was kind of great. I mean, the idea of like levity and laughter just lightening everything up was really beautiful, I thought.
Yeah.
So
and
I
all the
wanna
work
get into-
there is to be done. There is find the element of fun, make it a game. Like that's such a truth, even as a parent, to make it a game. You can get kids to clean up if you make it a game.
Yeah. In every job that must be done, there is an element of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find the fun and
It gets done.
yeah.
But at the
Damn.
very
Damn.
beginning.
Didn't she also gaslight those kids in that movie? Because it was either that or Bedknobs and Broomsticks, but I'm pretty sure it was this one, Mary Poppins, where after they come back and they start talking about all the things that they did during the day, and she's like, "What are you talking about? We never did any of that." And I remember always thinking, like, why did she? That's such a
Oh,
cool thing to do to these poor kids. Show them magic, and then
then
go
they-
back on it and be like, "You guys didn't see anything. What are you talking about? We were just hanging out all day." I was.
My favorite scene was her just pulling out the whole, all those objects out of her like suitcase, the lamp and what was it, mirrors,
The umbrella.
yeah, umbrella. And was there
That's
a
kind of-
cage in there also?
That's kind of part of the magic, though, is the secret.
Yeah,
They have to live with the mystery that did it really happen or what? That's like keeps the
Is
magic
gaslighting
alive because it's
secret?
going to
Is that
live.
what we're gonna say?
It lives
Or
in
it's
your
magic?
imagination. I don't know.
I'm not gaslighting
rationalizing
you.
it.
It's magical.
I do. It's
But
rationalizing it.
the whole thing started with their spell. They wrote it down and manifested Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
And then the dad didn't believe in it and he ripped up their spell and threw it into the chimney. And then it went up into the chimney. So he was actually the first one to recognize their magic when she showed up at the door because he couldn't keep away from the fireplace. He is like, where even the wife is like, march for women. And she comes back from her suffragette movement and she's like, what is wrong with you? Why do you keep looking in the fireplace? A nanny just showed up. And she's like, there's a line out the door and then there's only Mary Poppins left.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting too how that like intention went right up to the universe, and here comes Mary, right?
Well, there's
Mary
an
again.
argument to be made too that it's the chimney itself that made it magical, because towards the end there, like when they do the Chim Chimmery song, there's a couple lines in here. I can't remember 'em exactly. I know we were going to go this deep into Mary Poppins right off the bat, but there
is as lucky as lucky.
that's it exactly. And if you look into that, there really was like this concept that like the chimney sweep had this luck associated with them. So when they're all jumping up and they're dancing around, he's the most magical person in that entire movie. It's not even Mary Poppins, it's Dick Van Dyke the whole time. And the fact that it goes up through that chimney, maybe that's what kind of imbues the letter with magic.
You know what's interesting? They do that in a lot of movies. They burn objects, they focus on the fireplace, and a lot of scenes happen around the fireplace. It's very interesting that you bring that up. There probably is some magic to it. And like when you burn something and it just flies up into the air through the chimney like a portal almost, and it just poof goes into the ether.
So speaking of magic, Abby, tell us why you're dressed as Isis, another version of Mary. What is that connection?
Well, Isis also gave virgin birth, so she actually probably predated Mary. She was an actual pharaoh. She was like queen of Egypt, and she became a god, or she was a god. I don't know, but either way, like she was also human at some point. She was married to Osiris, which was her brother, and it says that they loved each other in the womb, which is kind of weird because that means they were twins. And
That's Kentucky style.
Yeah, he was murdered by their brother Set, and twice actually. The first time she was able to revive him. The second time he cut him into like 7 pieces and spread his body all throughout Egypt. And so, with the help of her sisters and stuff, who also were magic, she was able to gather up all the pieces of his body and resurrect him, but she couldn't find his penis. So she was virgin birth. 9 months later, she gave birth to their son Horus. So, but his penis supposedly fertilized the Nile.
There's also statues of like Isis holding.
They look exactly like
like
Horus. The Madonna holding the baby.
Like, yeah.
I put. Let me see. Can I share my screen? Or
have you guys seen the Isis?
Your mic has a little tiny pop on it right now.
Mine does. I do.
Yeah,
I'm too
just
close.
the tiniest bit. Yeah, maybe you were talking too close.
Yeah, it's
there
sensitive. There we go. Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was going to say now. That's good. No, I do remember the connection that I always make is when so a long time ago I started reading these Bart D. Ehrman books, and they had the like little glimpses of, because he did lost Christianities and lost scriptures and stuff like that. So I was introduced to the cult of Mary, like, I don't know, in my 20s or whatever. And then reading it.
I think your gain's too high, Gordy.
Is it? Oh,
yeah, just I keep hearing a flicker.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry to be virginal about it with my ears tonight.
Your virgin ears.
My virgin ears. So the connection,
and I want to catch every single word.
So the connection with Mary is that she, in those stories, is the idea is that she went to the Isis school. She was actually the princess, or not a princess, but the daughter of a rich man. And
are you talking about Mary Magdalene?
Mary Magdalene, yeah.
Yeah, Mary Magdalene did.
Right.
She raised the Kundalini.
And she went to the Isis school, right?
She went to the Isis school.
Right.
She raised the Kundalini snake. Yeah, at a very early age, and she was given the bracelet. which I didn't even know that bracelet really existed. And then I went to the Metropolitan Museum to do research, and there was this sarcophagus with the same bracelet that I saw that, Mary Magdalene wore. So it was real.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Look up her,
Mary Magdalene did raise the Kundalini snake, and she was really gifted, and she came back. Do you know that Mary Magdalene's mother also was visited by the Archangel Gabriel?
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Where'd you learn this? Because nobody
Because
talks
I
about
did a
this.
tremendous amount of research, and because I love the Marys, like all about the Marys, yeah. And yeah, so here's the actual bracelet, and I drew this that was on the sarcophagus.
She's gonna make it bigger.
Yeah, I have all the pictures of that you sent me.
Oh,
but
wow.
that is not one
Yeah,
of them.
it's right there. And Mary Magdalene was like apparently the most beautiful woman in the world. I know we're supposed to talk about the Blessed Mother Mary, but
No, all the Marys. This
Okay.
episode is
Mary.
just
All the
all
Marys.
about
Okay, so it's all
anything
about the
Mary.
Marys.
Mary Jane too.
Yeah, you can talk about anything Mary here. This is a
So,
Mary
yeah, so-
safe space.
Even Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
there you go.
all of it.
So Mary Magdalene was like a gorgeous, like the most beautiful woman in the world. Like she had like red hair and she was amazingly beautiful. But yeah, so what happened was Gabriel visited Mary Magdalene's mother. Her name was, what's her name? Queen Eucharis. Her father was King Cyrus. He was one of the kings of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Oh, wow.
She lived in Magdala, which is why they called her Mary Magdalene. And Magdala was like a town with all these towers. So she was literally a tower of power. And when Gabriel came to Queen Eucharis, she didn't have ears to hear or eyes to see. But then when she gave birth to Mary Magdalene, all of a sudden she had all this wisdom because like she gave birth to like basically Sophia, the goddess Sophia. She was like another iteration of the goddess Sophia, the wisdom goddess. And so what happened was King Cyrus didn't want a daughter, and there's like Mary Magdalene unprotected. There were all these archons around her where Jesus was protected, but Mary Magdalene really wasn't. She goes off to school to Egypt, right, to the Isis mystery school, and learns how to raise a Kundalini snake. Her father wanted to send her to marry the richest man in Babylon, so she goes with her dowry, her entourage, her handmaidens, her drivers, and basically they get robbed. They get robbed by I think the archons, right? So, and the handmaidens are raped and they're murdered. And they kidnap, and basically, like Mary Magdalene is trafficked. She's like 16 years old, and she becomes a prostitute, and that's what happened. And
oh my God,
this is what they say. I mean, I believe this. She becomes a prostitute and is thrown into slavery, and then works her way up, becomes a madam, makes enough money to free herself and the women. And there she goes, and off she goes, and she goes to meet Jesus, who she met at the well.
women.
I know, but she was like, I think she's incredible.
Yeah.
She was like energy. I mean, like sparks literally flew out of her hair. She was, and even after Jesus died, she would like run in the desert with the lions. Like animals loved her. She was like beloved. And so, yeah, so that's like the backstory of Mary Magdalene. It's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah,
I think
that is.
we were talking about it on another episode because there's another goddess that it was said that she had cats pull her carriage. And I was thinking about this, how it reminded me of Mary Magdalene, and how that we all have this saying of if a black cat crosses your path, it's bad luck. But maybe it was only bad luck if you were crossed past by the goddess in some kind of negative way. If you were seen as negative to her and her cats crossed your path, they were like, oh, because everything with the 13, everything with the moons, everything with the woman, it's all this bad luck symbology.
Yeah.
But 13 is like actually really a lucky number, especially like in Sicily, it's a lucky number. And the real calendar from the Sumerian calendar, from what I've heard, there's 13 months and 360 days.
Yeah.
So,
And I think there was this old printed Bible in 1775 where it talked about the 13 moons in the Bible, and in 1776 they changed it, and they had the 13 moons there and plus one. I forgot what the name is. It's plus 1 day. I guess that's the leap year, but it's every year they have that plus 1 day. The starts with a V. I forgot. My memory's a little shot. Mary's not there right now.
Is it Vaticus or
Uh,
something? Because isn't there something?
Vadar Day.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go. Vadar. Yes.
sounds like Darth Vader.
Uh-huh.
Vader Day.
Vadar Day.
That's new to me. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
On a
there's
personal curiosity, what is the connection with Sophia and Isis with owls? Do you
That's
know?
an interesting question.
Because I mean, this is a recurring thing with me, and it will be, get used to it. But everything relates to owls with me. So like all the symbology and everything is like my bag. But it's because they taught me goddess. Like
Owls taught you goddess?
Yeah.
How? Like, what do you mean?
Okay. So I have this very close connection with this family of owls. You don't get to trust.
Gordy, Ann, I want to hear all this, but that popping in the microphone is
I'm
going to
so
make
sorry.
me lose it.
Good.
It's not your fault. I just, everybody should know this in the Secret Society. I am an audiophile, and if
Yeah.
things don't sound like honey in my ears, I just cannot concentrate on what it is. So I apologize to
your
everyone for
wire.
interrupting the show. But I need to hear Gordy's dreamy he has a dreamy voice, and if I hear the popping, I can't concentrate. It's my short squirrel attention span.
It was me.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. So the owls. You
It's
don't.
no.
Nope. Is
No.
it still bad?
When you said, "Is it better?"
Where your
it was
fingers
like
are?
dreamy, but
The
then
wire. Try not touching that, maybe that wire by your
Yeah,
fingers.
It's probably me. Hold mic control. Is it working now? Okay,
I don't know
I'll
who
try
set
it.
it
I'll
down.
keep going. See, the goddess keeps wanting to hide herself somehow. I don't know why, but so you don't get to be a trustworthy person in a family of owls without like going through the mother. Like the owls are always a matriarchal society. It's only a pair usually of great horned owls. So these great horned owls I know, and her name is Gwen, by the way. So there's a Guinevere connection there, which got me on this whole idea that the bloodline of Christ was in Guinevere.
Well, I did hear that.
And so anyway, her name is Gwen. I unintentionally named her that just because I had seen Galaxy Quest the night before. Like I really started getting to know them, and I'm like, oh, I need to name them. And it was Gwen and Peter were the main characters, and I thought that would be funny. And then I was like realizing it had all these different connections, like because Peter's been my rock. Like I've stuck with these owls for 5 years.
Wait, Peter's been your rock, like the rock of the church is like the rock that the
right
church is built
what
on.
I was
That's like kind
thinking.
of crazy. Were you thinking that too?
Yes,
All right.
it's
Biblical,
the craziest
man.
thing, man. And anyway, but owls are always associated with goddesses. Like Bubo the owl is Athena, and magic, and they're always associated with magic. Like
It also makes me
Hecate,
think I gotta say of like Bohemian Grove a little bit too.
I know they always want to steal our stuff.
I know, it's like inversion and like
We steal it back.
Italians. Yeah.
We
I
keep
heard another.
oh, we're going to show them what these symbols really mean.
Well, they
with
do always steal like our symbology.
Yeah, they
with
pervert
with
that
the
shit.
goddess Lilith. She was associated with owl too, and
Mhm.
her name was the same as an owl making a noise of a screech, and that was one of her attributes. There's like the whole harpy angle, right? But Lilith was known to let out this piercing screech, and it was like this wordplay where her name was the same word for the noise that like an owl would make. So she was kind of attributed to the owls. But you had the goddess Tanit was attributed to owls, right? Like all of the different Lils were attributed to owls, and I think a lot of that too is like that nighttime lunar energy, and just sort of like being out in the night and being able to see at night and keeping secrets. All of that kind of was always sort of attributed to like the feminine energy, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, like the owl is a predator, and Lilith was a predator of children. And you know, it kind of this is kind of weird, but you know, ever see the movie Twilight, where when you first see that the Rob, what's his name, Pattinson character, you see like wings behind him, and then when he moves, it's an owl. So it's kind of like you get the angel and like the predator at the same time.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's
now I'm
kind
thinking of the
interesting
Labyrinth
how-
movie, because that was
What's
all
that?
didn't in Labyrinth, right? Wasn't David Bowie always sort of like presented as an owl and like
Yeah.
shapeshifted into an owl?
Yep.
It's like interesting to see like owls in film, right? And how they're portrayed. But you're totally right about Lilith. I mean, she is like that. There's that, what is that that ancient piece of art of Lilith where she's got the feet of like an owl and the wings.
Yeah, it's the well, there's a few.
You
of
know
them.
what I
One of them's
mean?
the Arslan Tash amulet is one of them. But then
Yeah.
there's also like the Bernie relief, I think it is.
I think I'm not sure what it's called, but
But she's
you know
like
what I-
flanked on either side by these two owls.
right. She's
Yeah,
flanked
that-
on either side by the owls, and her feet are
Right.
like bird feet.
Right.
And
I
she's
re-
got
I know
wings.
exactly
It
what
looks
you're
like an owl,
Yes.
and that's Lilith.
It's a
Yeah, it's
bas
the
relief and-
I got my notes up because I actually had a whole bunch of notes on like owls and goddesses. So that's the Bernie relief, but it's also known as the Queen of the Night relief. So it had the human female torso and head, wings and talons, and the owls.
Yeah.
And all this was supposed to symbolize the night and like her feminine energy, but also this concept of wind, because she was a Lil, and the Lil were like these wind demon entities, which is like another really interesting, because if you think about it, like when the wind would blow really hard, it would whistle and have this screeching noise, and the owl would have this screeching noise, and Lilith would come in the middle of the night, and she would, of the many fun things that she did, she would like steal your babies. And that was a way that she would cover up her tracks, is that as the babies would cry or scream as she's stealing them, then she would have these owls drown out the screams of the babies. So now it's like the owls are
Brutal.
covering for her. Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, you ever seen like an owl? I mean,
Dude,
I
owls are
remember when I
brutal.
had a little puppy, we were terrified that an owl was gonna swoop out of the sky and steal our
That
puppy. And
happens.
like that legitimately can happen. Yeah,
that
dude.
happens, dude. They find like cat tags and stuff inside owl pellets sometimes. You know,
Wow.
like things like that. I find owl pellets all the time because they're everywhere. But
what are you doing now?
like, dude, I can't imagine that. I know it sounds weird, but they just find me everywhere. They found me out here in my
Owls or
neighborhood.
owl pellets?
Owls.
Where do you live?
Owls. I live in
Where do you live?
Southeast Arizona,
Okay.
and there's a pair at my work that is my main family, and they are Peter and Gwen, and then I have another pair out here in my neighborhood that is I just call her grandmother
Mhm.
and Pops, because she's huge. She's just enormous. And that's the other thing about owls, is the females are the big and scary ones. Like if you like if you want to be around, you got to be cool with her first, and then you could be cool with, like, if you want to see their babies, like, get cool with mom, because if she'll accept you, they'll all accept you. And as soon as, like, you get cool with her, and I learned that trick from Gwen, and then I came out with these owls and got real close with them, and she just kind of has gravitated. They've all just kind of gravitated. They've come to my house and hoot down the chimney and stuff. But I got to see their babies this year.
Wow.
After one of them died, it was the coolest fucking
I'm
thing
gonna
ever.
screech like Lilith
sorry.
if that microphone's not fucking fixed. Like I'm gonna lose my fucking skull. It's ruining my life right now, and I'm gonna fully come into the night and take your children until you fix that. Don't try it again
Okay.
until it's fixed.
All right.
I can't take it anymore.
So let me ask
That is
you
the
guys
nicest
something.
fucking way I can say it. Let my fucking people go.
Whoa. All right, there you go.
Okay.
So why do you guys think the Virgin Mary's crying right now? I mean,
Cheney says they're happy tears, but
If you guys
honestly,
don't know, just this week while we were talking about doing this show, me and Marisa have been planning for a really long time, getting together and talk about the goddesses. And then we've had it planned for the show. And then this week she sent me a video, and Layla reposted it on her TikTok too. And the Virgin Mary, like the statue, was crying.
yeah.
And go on. Sorry.
So I wonder if they're sad tears, but then I wonder if that's just like a prank to pull on people's heartstrings and just like apply that there. But if she was really crying, if I were to dig deep and ask that question, from what I see happening in the world right now, I think they're like tears of pain.
I think so, because like there's
Yeah.
been 703 murders in that town. Yeah.
Oh
So
my.
she's crying tears of pain.
Where did this happen?
But it's kind of just like this week, like 3 days ago.
And where is it? Where was that statue from?
Mexico, I
Mexico,
believe, right?
Camilo or Camigo or something like that in Mexico.
Interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, so there's been a lot of murders in this town, and then it's weird because like all these like Mary shows up, she does all these intercessions when like there's a war, when like Our Lady of Grace showed up, Our Lady of Lourdes, Our Lady of La Salette, with the prophecy of like Lucifer and demons will be loosed from hell. In 1871, Part1, France, during the Franco-Prussian War, incoming Prussian troops inexplicably turned around when she showed up. I mean, she does cause miracles, and Our Lady of Fatima, she gave the 3 secrets, right? Oh no, wait. She prophesied so a huge war would erupt. And yeah, so there's been like she did give the 3 secrets, and like the church didn't give up the last one.
Isn't there this place in Europe where there's this Mary statue, or this place? I forgot. This customer told me today, and he was telling me about all the miracles of like people walking in with crutches and wheelchairs, and when they just sit in front of Mary and just pray to her, they walk out.
In France, that happens a lot there. It happens in Medjugorje. Yeah. So I mean, I think it happens a lot with Mary, because she's like the patron saint of humanity. And so
my question is, if she was initially the chosen one, my idea, and I've heard this.
I like that Layla went like she had to think about it.
Yeah, and this is the proper way, probably, like to center yourself, I guess. So it's like, if she was the chosen one, and they're hiding the fact that, or they don't talk about it, because we all know she was chosen to carry the vessel of Christ, okay? But we forget the other aspects of what brought Christ here, because there's a divine connection of Mary to whatever it is that wanted to manifest Christ. So is she the key to heaven? And the holders of the key is the church, and they know this truth, and they kind of like keep that part a secret. Is she the Holy Grail? Because if you see her in a lot of like esoteric stuffs, she's like on the Holy Grail, and it's like with the serpent snake going around it. So it's like, I don't know.
I mean, to me, I think she's a key. I do think.
Yeah.
I think you go if you go to heaven through her, and
Oops, that was the wrong that was the wrong image.
Was
That's
it? Was it?
Are you sure?
I think she is
No
like,
accident.
I do think the Holy Grail was probably like Mary Magdalene. That's my thought, but
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
Like
Holy
if you
Grail.
look
yeah.
in nature, if you look at how the animal kingdom is with the female aspect of it, they do all for the female. Like, yes, the female is the fierce one and she'll protect her offspring as well as the male does, which is, you know, motherly instinct. So it's like, what are humans doing and not seeing that, hey, probably there's this female energy that we're not really connecting to, that we should be connecting to, because we're only connecting to the male energy and not calling in the female energy. Should there be a balance in that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what
You know?
Mary Magdalene and Jesus were about. They were about the balance. They were about, you know, their sacred
Hyros
stuff was
Gamos,
about
right?
raising the what?
Hyros Gamos.
Yeah, Hyros Gamos, exactly. That's exactly right. And their sex was sacred. And, you know, when Jesus also went to the mystery schools in Egypt, and he was also taught the same thing that Mary Magdalene was. But I actually think that Mary Magdalene taught Jesus a lot too. And they learned from each other. And I think that, you know, they raised the Kundalini flame. Before he went on the cross, I think they had a night together, and that's where their daughter was conceived. I mean, when he turned water into wine, that was at his own wedding. So, and I think that their sacred sex gave him protection, and that basically brought a lot of, you know, love into the world and into the cosmos. And it's interesting that I think that, you know, the world does need that love, but it's that kind of love. And I think that they're like the ultimate power couple, you know. And I think instead of them being the saviors, I think they're like, you know, something to aspire to. So
Yeah, like everybody's looking for their Messiah outside themselves,
but it's inside. I mean, it's like that's what they were teaching.
Yeah, that's what they were trying to tell us.
Here's a question. How, okay, if I were a virgin, right, and I asked the question to the whatever powers may be and what she knew, and I said, hey, Bert, like, give me that child, a virgin birth. How and what process did she go through to gain access to allow that? Why? How? I want to know the alchemical process of how a virgin was able to conceive. That is the key. I feel that they are hiding so deep that, hey, if women can find out how to have babies without men, we're fucked.
I think it was energy. I think it was energetic. That's my theory. I think it was all energetic. And
you don't think women, if they chose to, you know?
I don't know. I don't think I'd even want to, though. I feel like men need women and women need men. And I feel like, you know what? I feel like there's this whole thing going on with the, like, trying to abolish women, to take away our womb and to, like, give, you know, you've seen the baby embryos, right? In those, like, those, like, plastic egg shapes, right? And I feel like that's a whole movement, like, to get rid of women, to get rid of cows because they're farting, which is, like, stupid. like climate.
Thank you.
Yeah, like there's always a reason to get rid of something to make the world more synthetic and more filled with like AI. It's like a whole demon thing that's going on, and to get rid of like humans, like the natural way that humans give birth. It's just to get rid of like humanity and to just turn us into bots and transhuman forms. And I think that's all part of it.
Maybe, like, let's say, what if, right?
Mhm.
What if this is a secret?
Mhm.
And what if, because the attack that women are seeing today, and we're getting close to the answer by asking these questions, it's like they're going to the route of going to AI and machines because they want to completely destroy the human race. And why not completely destroy the women? What if that is a key? Like, oh man, they're so close to figuring it out, like to create without having a seed. Not that it's like a
I think
bad
you're
thing,
right.
like,
I think you're right. I think we are getting close. It's like, again, I think every time we are about to get close and humanity is about to experience its divinity and
Yeah.
realize who we truly are, like something happens and like these 13 families and like whoever's above them, like tries to take over and destroy humanity. It's like another reset. Yeah.
Well, this isn't even new because what you guys are talking about, it reminds me immediately of the whole concept of a homunculus, because a homunculus was basic. I mean, like the funny, simplified, but also serious version is that you got these like old guys that are out in the woods. They don't socialize with anyone. They have no interest whatsoever in developing relationships with a girl for any reason, right? They just want to like read their books and do their magical experiments, but they also want to be able to pass their knowledge on to progeny or have someone to help them out around the lab. So like the whole goal was to be able to create another person without using a female whatsoever. It would just all completely remove them from the equation. And if they were able to do that, it kind of cuts females out of the equation. And to bring this back into the Mary thing, there's this concept of Mary as the vessel and Jesus being the homunculus, because just like a vessel, you kind of like you impregnate it, but it remains a virgin, right? Because it didn't go through the exact same initiation ritual that you would have to be, like de-virginized. So she becomes this kind of like a flask, like an alchemical flask.
Dude, that makes sense to me, man.
Okay, but then this is what gets me. So let's bring it back to the Bible and John 3:16. Almost everybody knows this verse. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. The word begotten means like sexually it has to do with sexual reproduction. Bringing a child into existence by the process of reproduction. So
okay, but doesn't say like what reproduction technically is.
Yeah.
It could be anything, really.
Well, I think the Holy Spirit came over her.
I think the Holy Spirit, again, I think it's spirit, it's energy. That's what I think. Yeah. Yeah.
I just recently saw this whole book from Leo Taxel. It's called The Funny Bible or The Amusing Bible. And it opens up with a quote where he's paraphrasing Mary, and it's like she's pregnant, and Joseph walks in, and he's like, "What the hell happened?" Right? And her answer was like, "It was the pigeon, Joseph," because that was the concept of it. God turns into like a pigeon and flies down. But I thought it was
like
hilarious.
I just like that the Holy Spirit came all over.
I had to go there. Sorry. Leave it to me to do that, right?
But right? When Joseph saw Mary pregnant, he did want to divorce her. He was actually talking to lawyers.
I remember thinking about that. Like, what would it be if you were in that position? Because I almost did the whole turban and thing. I'm like, do I do the Joseph thing? But I was thinking about that. I'm like, holy crap! Like, could you imagine? Like, the chick you're gonna marry is already knocked up,
right?
And you're like, fuck, man. What if it? Okay, and some angel is telling me, even if some angel is telling me, no, dude, this is the God's son, man. This is a holy birth. What if it comes out looking like a neighbor Marty?
Right.
Let me put some perspective for you guys. How dramatic Albanians are when it comes to like girls being pregnant, not being married, this is what I'm talking about 15 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. I mean, it is do or die, life or death. Like you have to create the most insane, most believable story possible to make sure they don't kill off your child or they send her off somewhere to marry some old guy. They'll do something to create a narrative to like protect their offspring. I'm not saying that's what happened to Mary.
But you know, like
but,
there was a threat of like if you're pregnant in those days, if you were pregnant, you were stoned to death.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
They'll
Joseph
kill
was
you.
like protecting Mary. I mean,
Yeah, that's a story.
yeah, that's part of the
So-
story. Yeah, he was, you know, her protector, her husband. But yeah, I mean, that's part of the legend. That's part of the story that
So I believe
an
that.
angel came to him
Sure.
and then Joseph was on her team and they got
I'm just
married. But
imagining
yeah.
Joseph hears the story of Mary, and then Joseph sees an angel, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, guy! Like, I think we've done
Okay.
enough here."
It's just a hypothetical because I like to play both sides of the field. Like I like to just play devil's advocate. What if, right? To mess with her husband or future husband, they're like, okay, the only way this guy will probably see like some weird, like godly being is probably like slip him some like mushroom tea and like let him trip out on something and he'll have this like whole premonition of feeling or seeing God, because I've had that feeling multiple times tripping. So what if that could even be a scenario that they plan this whole they plan this whole thing up? And this is just, you know, hypothetical, just to make things interesting. But what if that was just like a plan? Hey, you know, we have to really make this story seem right. How can we like make it seem like that something godly is happening or something? And they know, because women are sometimes sneaky when it comes to shit, you know?
Right.
I will say, yeah, I've seen it. So what if they just slipped him a magic potion and he started tripping out and he saw like beings and he thought it was an angel? And he's like, man, this is accurate. That's the only way like I could like see it in like real
If
time.
those
like,
witches pulled that off.
dude, dude, I've seen some
And
shit,
just
man.
her random bastard son became the savior of the world. That is magic. That
What
is
girls will
high
do-
magic. If it just came from a couple of
Life or
mushrooms and
death.
a good story tell.
That's why in 300 and all those movies, where do the kings turn to? They turn to their wives for, hey, give me some knowledge about something, because I can't turn to anybody else because they'll think I'm crazy. So they'll turn to their wives and be like, baby, I'm going through this and this, and I saw this vision and blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is what it is.
Well, you know what's kind of
really?
interesting? It's like Jesus definitely turned to Mary Magdalene, and she was the one asking all the questions, and Peter like totally hated her.
Yeah.
Like he would always complain about her and say, I mean, he said some really terrible things. Like what I'll tell you, like he said, what is it about?
But it was bros
Mary,
before hoes, right? That was his quote.
women are not worthy of life.
There's something about this shawl, like when I curse, like it makes me like not want to curse.
Right, but the thing is, like Peter, Mary said that he hateth our sex, right? Meaning like whatever was going on between
He
them.
either hated
women. He was
women or hated that they boned.
Yeah, probably both.
Probably both.
It's probably jealous.
It was
He was
jealous.
jealous.
It was
He was
jealous.
jealous.
Hateration.
Jesus said that she was my.
Hateration.
Jesus said that she was his favorite disciple.
Yeah,
And they
she
were
was
all
the first
pissed.
disciple, then the disciple who knew all. Like
He shared all his secrets with her, and
yeah.
like, of course they were pissed. Little babies.
I mean, like Peter was really jealous.
Yeah,
Peter was
of
like a little
course.
bitch. Let's be honest.
So why the rewriting to hide the goddess this time? Like it seems like there was the time, that period with the ISIS, like that culture actually embraced the goddess, and then the Christianity happened, and it went back to like forgetting the mother, like forgetting the goddess. It was all male focused. Why do you think we're in this rebirth of
like recognizing a goddess again?
Well, here's what's happening. I think we're in the rebirth of recognizing the divine femme, as you said, Layla, right? And now they just want to get rid of us again, like get rid of the womb, get rid of like birth givers, get rid of the female energy, and just like, have men look like women, and just.
They're like banning, like they're taking laws away where it allows men to like rape women without going to jail in some places. It's like, why are they going backwards? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
Like,
because
Like, why
they're
are we
threatened.
going
Where?
backwards?
like,
Like,
what are we
what
doing?
are we doing? Is this biblical times?
Like, for real.
Oh my God.
But seriously, it's like, I think since Corona, the Crown, that whole time, I guess that was their whole plan. Hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this now. Let's inoculate everyone. Let's get the womb sick. Let's produce a new type of species with new DNA. And they're just starting the process. And here we are, y'all.
Y'all, here we are. I mean,
Here we are.
stay in union.
We're talking about the divine. Let's keep it alive, both masculine and feminine. So let's stay in our true authenticness.
Exactly.
Do you think that there's any symbolism behind Virginia and Maryland and then the DC of it all in between?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like,
where's the heart of America again?
In Oklahoma.
Why is the heart of America in Oklahoma?
Well, that's where, it's green country, so that would be like the heart chakra, but they're actually building the Heartland theme park right here in my town. So,
are you in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just the heart of the country.
It's okay.
It's okay.
So they say.
It's all right.
Do you, even in the idea, sometimes I think of, people say that, Israel is a land, or Israel's a state of being, or it's all this. It's weird that what if Virgin Land or Virgin Maryland, like a first land, what if the second land is the fake land? And so America is actually the first.
Huh.
Like if everything's here, if Israel's here and Egypt's here, and we can find all the same names.
Well, you're talking about like the pyramids and like Little Egypt, where the Grand Canyon is, right? I mean,
there's the Isis Tower. Is it the Isis Tower in the Grand Canyon? Isis Temple.
Isis
in the Grand Canyon.
And in Utah, it should be Utah, right? It should be where ancient Egypt is.
It would be very easy for Jesus to walk on water in the salt flats, or anywhere that there's that much
Zion,
salt.
And that's where Zion is.
For sure.
In Utah.
And I think there's a lot of King George symbology, and that always goes, with the Joan of Arc, which attaches to the Knights of the Round Table, which people always, with the Guinevere, always go back to the Mary Magdalene bloodline. So it's just, you have Georgia, and Thomas has a great depiction of like the Florida girl like stabbing the dragon, like Thoth, how it does, or St. George, where you have St. George standing on top of the dragon, but you have Georgia on top of Florida, the gator, which is the same representation happening again. And every single thing on the pyramids, from the Anubis to the corn, is all American. None of it's native to Egypt or Kemet, as it should be called.
Yeah, corn was that's one thing that I taught as a social studies teacher, is that is definitely an North American crop. It wasn't grown anywhere else in the world, or South American even. It's just the Americas. So there's no way it was in Egypt at that time. But we've all heard that it is. Like they found corn in one of the pyramids or something like that, right? That was like 2,000 years old. And
they said there was cocaine in some of the mummies, which had to have come from South America.
Cocaine is that old?
Oh, it's a plant. It comes from Colombia.
Where it came from.
Where does cocaine come from?
It's a plant. It's from a plant. Yeah.
Yeah, the coconut.
Well, do you guys think
Okay.
it's all about stargates too? Like there's stargates all
Dude.
over the planet, and that's
Oh my
For
God.
sure.
I just watched it again because it was like calling to me.
or Stargate the series.
There's just the original
The movie.
The original movie, because I don't know. I'm just trying to.
I'm obsessed with Stargate.
It's
Yeah.
Just to be honest,
Yeah.
like like that
Joking
episode
honest thing. Yeah.
where, like, where they find like a sarcophagus. I think it's Hathor in the Grand Canyon. I mean, yeah. So there's so much truth in that show.
There really is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's actual portal, they say, in the Grand Canyon somewhere that literally takes you to Africa. If you like go a certain route, like it'll teleport people to Africa.
Mhm.
It'd be
Is-
awkward. You're on vacation with like your
Like,
parents.
Holiday Road.
Yep. Look, it's Grand Canyon.
Jack
Every
be
other-
nimble, Jack be quick.
We need that movie.
Oh.
I mean, it's so great.
I know that somebody in the chat said like the Phoenician boat people, and I think like Phoenicians, Vikings, we have Moors, we have all this representation of different boat people, and the Moors make me automatically think of Moses or Maleficent every time.
Mhm.
And we were talking before we came on air, and not to get off Mary, but you were saying something about Moses's eyes lighting up, or Noah's. I
was
mean, sorry,
Noah's
not
because-
Moses.
No.
yeah, because Noah.
I meant Maleficent and Noah.
Yeah. They
I
say
can't
that-
think with all this hair.
They say that Noah was the son of Enki, the
Ooh.
Anunnaki god. Yeah,
That
and that's
actually
why
ties
he's a
into
hybrid. What?
the Curse of Ham, which is like one of my favorite biblical like little nooks and crannies. But that if Noah was the son of Enki or like some kind of Anunnaki or Nephilim or whatever they potentially were, Ham or Cain, it walks into the tent and it says saw his dad naked or whatever,
Right.
which is interpreted in a lot of different ways. But one of the I guess the less sexual ways is that seeing him naked meant seeing him do something like harnessing pure energy, or maybe communicating with God directly, where he shouldn't have been able to see it with his like naked eyes. And that if Noah really was the son of Nephilim or Watchers or whatever you want to fill in, that maybe that was what Cain or Ham saw him doing, that was this like unforgivable sin. And then it was like, uh-oh, he knows the secrets. Let's wipe his ass out of here, because no one's allowed to know the secrets.
Interesting.
Were you gonna say
It's weird
something
what you
like
don't even think
Like,
of until somebody
breathe.
points it out to you. Because I mean, how many times have I heard that story or read that story myself, and I've never really.
Well, the
thought
other one is
deeply
that
about
he
it.
like
I remember that
banged
too.
he banged Noah, basically.
Huh.
That's the other version of it.
Wait, what did you say that he what?
He banged Noah. That he
Oh.
walked that Noah was drunk, and Ham or Cain, and some people just say that Ham and Cain were the same thing. It just got mistranslated, so I like interchangeably use them. But that Ham walks into Noah's tent, Noah's drunk, and Ham takes advantage of him, and that's what saw
That's
him
what I
naked
thought.
meant.
Right. That's what I thought it meant. Like,
Right,
wow.
well, that's the crude version. The more literal, non-crude version is just like you weren't allowed to see your dad naked, and if you did, then shame on you. But that
You
third
saw his
one was that
reptilian
he
form?
saw him doing magic. He saw him communicating directly with God, which is like the most naked you could be in some interpretations.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Huh. Interesting phrasing to use. Like you're just praying and like, what are you doing? I'm naked.
Well, there is a philosophy of praying naked, of surrendering everything.
Witches do it all the time,
all the
right?
time, right? Yeah. No, I mean in
Not technically
the
prayer.
mind.
No, just dancing in the moonlight.
Dancing in the moonlight.
Moonlight.
I love that song. I have your slides over here too, Marisa. If you want me to start with any of them, because we can stay on them. You've said some of them during parts of stories,
Mhm.
but we can kind of go through them and still talk too. So I'm gonna pull up my screen. Do I already have it on here? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. And Thomas also enjoys comics a lot. And you've been in like tons of magazines and you've done actual like comic strip type comics, and then you've done books like Cancer Vixen, which
Mhm.
is crazy. I didn't think we'd ever end up with that in common.
I know.
But I know it's so nuts. It ended up like I found you from this book, and then that one ended up being the one I read separate, and other people have it the other way around with your journey,
Mhm.
because you're a survivor as well. I won't, if you want to get into any of that, feel
Yeah,
free.
actually 3-time survivor, but yeah.
3 times?
Mhm.
Wow,
Wow.
goddess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so crazy and amazing.
Wow.
And
Crazy.
part of your journey is how some of this came to you, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, part of it is like I just even when I was like 8 years old, it just occurred to me that, women give birth, right? Going back to the whole women giving birth thing. It's like God created all living things. I'm like, well, that never made sense to me because women are the birth givers. So I like always questioned that, even when I was a child in Catholic school and getting yelled at by the nuns.
Same.
Me
Really?
too.
Yeah, I have that question still. Not to
Mhm.
say that God, there's not like a male aspect to it, but there definitely is a female one that we're just like, nah, you're
Yeah,
not
but I think
important.
that was taken out
Yeah.
like in the Council of Nicaea. But I think there's, of course,
Like
there's male,
something
female.
happened in history where
Hmm.
this character came in and said, nope, you got it all wrong. Take down this statue of this woman, take down this statue of this woman. Whoop. You see, that's true. I just dropped this.
You're knocking down statues.
But yeah, it's like again, it's always a takedown of the woman.
Da-da-da-da,
Yeah,
da-da-da-da.
yeah.
So it's like, what if, man? Like all these goddesses, and they're like, no, they're evil. No, you can't. No, 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 no. Be scared, be frightened to maybe even have that idea. But like, I'm not afraid to have that idea because I like to question it. And then when I'm gone, I can find out. But then we have that whole poem of the twins in the womb asking the questions that we ask
I
now.
love that poem.
You know that poem. I love that
Yeah, I
poem.
love that poem.
Ah,
You
I
know who
love
read me
that
that
poem.
poem?
Who?
It was in his book, the Dr. Zelenko, Vladimir Zelenko.
Really?
Yeah, you guys know who he was. He's like doctor of the hydrochloroquine doctor, and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
like
yeah.
Oh,
he was
wow.
like really outspoken and spoke about like Gates and deep state and depopulation. He was like really,
I
really
bought
out
his
there.
Z-Packs.
What's that?
I bought his Z-Packs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was him. Yep.
yeah.
He asked me I was a friend of his. He asked me to sell them.
Oh,
Well,
wow. God rest his soul.
so what happened was he had cancer, stage 4, went to this hospital in Germany. He survived, right? The surgery, he was coming out of it. And he was doing really well. I have a friend who was staying with him for 5 nights in the hospital just to make sure he was okay. He left. Some fake doctor came in, adjusted his oxygen mask, and killed him.
Oh, God.
Just like Dr. Batar.
Mm.
They're watching. They're watching. They know.
So
That's
yeah.
sad.
Anyway, so he's the one who told me about that poem. I love that poem.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. It
Yeah.
makes me that really makes me question, what do we live in? Are we in a womb? Are we in her brain? Are we in a female brain? And the energy here that we're in is masculine but surrounded by feminine. I don't
Mhm.
know. Just
What do you think, Paranoid of Mary, Ken? Do you think we're in a female brain?
I think there's a good chance. I mean, we're in a fractal reality, as it was described to me. That this blew my mind. Is that we are a person that came from a person that came from a person, came from a person, and so on and so on. So that in itself is this weird proof of a truly fractal reality where everything comes from a thing that, as above, so below, all the way down. So, I mean, yeah, like somewhere up above us, there's another bigger thing that's maybe a womb or a brain or something, but I don't know the gender thing is such a weird concept because it's like chicken or the egg, right? Who came first, the guy or the girl? Like in the reality that we've got, it couldn't have been just, one or the other. It had to be both at some point, and then they split, or there was like some kind of spontaneous, or maybe it's, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. I don't know. Maybe that's like the actual truth, is that these two different energies came. But
Well, what is a soul? Is a soul male or female?
that's a good point. Yeah, like are they just putting on a body and the body just happens to have like an extra nozzle or an extra port, and that's the only difference?
Yeah, like I wonder that too. Like, do we have a designated soul that's male or female, or are we just genderless energy things?
Aren't we all born as daughters in the water?
We kind of are, actually.
We kind of are.
Yeah. And
Everyone's
the
a female until,
right? And
every baby is a female until the testicles descend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's that fractal nature again, right? So like you start out not exact, but you start out like as close as you can to the thing that is producing you, and then some outside force can come in and change the course of that slightly.
Did you guys see this thing recently about how like at the point of conception, right, when like the light bursts, that is like the most mind-blowing.
Scientists can't figure out where that light is coming from within that darkness. Yeah, they say it's like I forgot
zinc.
What zinc. Yeah, it's a reaction with zinc, but they still can't understand where that light is coming from.
So this brings me back to the whole immaculate conception isn't really a big deal anymore because we have in vitro fertilization.
Mm-hmm.
So this is happening all the time now. Does a spark happen in a test tube as well?
That's interesting. Is a test tube baby a soul?
Right.
Like those are like big questions.
A bigger question: would you sleep with your clone?
You asked me that.
I would. Everybody knows that already.
If with your clone, would it be masturbation or incest?
Would it be
self-love, self-care?
Yeah, I think it would be kind of both, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like loving yourself.
So what if it's a twin? What if it's an identical twin?
Nah, that's just a different.
That's like
that's just
why? Because that's real.
No, that
one's less theoretical.
Yeah.
Hey,
if it's just like actual. If it's
there's nothing wrong with that. I loved him in the womb.
That's right.
I can't.
That's right.
Man. I can't.
Your husband was your brother.
Yes.
I mean, there's those twins actually who are pretty famous for like kind of dating the same or married to the same guy, and they want to have the baby at the same day and have this. Everything has to be done the same. Again, with my hands, I'm telling you something magical about this. So, I don't know. Maybe people are probably in it, but to actually have a human flesh that came out of the same portal. Nah, but if like I had a replica made after of some foreign material, absolutely. Game on. Hell fucking yeah. If it knows what I know, hell yeah. I'm down.
If you could immaculately conceive, would you be more or less likely to have a child?
Yeah, I would have it.
My kids are cute. I would, I would have kept going, but 5 is quite a bit.
I would have it.
I would have it.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that such an interesting question? All of a sudden,
not
like,
have it.
No,
You would not have.
I'd use up one of my 3 strikes on that one for sure.
Well, what if you
You wouldn't want to experience
female,
childbirth?
you know?
It's kind of interesting.
and you had the opportunity to carry, you know.
Yeah, I mean the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from the 90s, right?
Yeah, twins. That
No,
gets
No,
it
no,
was
weird.
no.
it
The
was
one
that
where
came
he
after Twins.
was actually gave birth.
Was it like Mr.
Oh.
Mom?
No, that was the one with
Oh, I
Terry
forgot what movie
Hatcher
it
or
is.
something.
Right, right.
Terry Garr, and Michael
It was with
Keaton.
Danny DeVito too, though, wasn't it?
No,
That was
Yeah.
that
Twins,
was
but that wasn't
Twins.
the same
Twins.
movie
With
as
Danny
the
I
one
thought
where he
that
gets
they
pregnant.
got pregnant at the end, like both the men get pregnant at the end or whatever, or it wasn't just Arnold. I don't know.
I don't know if
I'm
it would
mixing up-
work.
mixing
I don't know. I
movies.
mean, is that like sexist to say that like the father being the host or the vessel in this homunculus kind of situation, right? Like I don't know. I don't see, maybe it's culture programming of like the dad being the nurturing sort of energy in this, right? Like that's like the more nervous like protection energy, but I don't know. Is that just like my cultural programming?
No, it's hormonal. What
I
fundamentally makes you male is different than what makes me female.
and that's
I'm
what's
so
great.
triggered right now.
But don't they
Sorry.
say that like that protection chemical that's released in a woman when she holds her baby, the like what is it, oxytocin that's released, that is protection mixed with beauty. So she has her most amount of masculine that she's ever had in her body to protect that thing. And she also has her most amount of feminine that she's ever had in her body before, that she thinks that's the most beautiful thing she's ever seen. So it's actually like that moment is some kind of hermetic alchemy that I think that the homunculus creator or conceptualizer is in desperate need to search for that. Like if there's an immaculate conception or the carrying or life giving, if you are a god or a god king, if you can create that, but just a mom on the other side, it is quite a difference of weight like that we're giving. And no matter how long before there was ever everything that you've ever seen, like the only two truths in the whole world where everyone's like, huh, death and taxes. No, the only two truths in the whole world is death and that you were born from a woman. Those are the only two truths in the whole entire world. Everything else we could debate about. And so it's like, it doesn't really matter what species you are. It doesn't matter what color skin or what religion you are. You all came from a woman. So the idea that a big bang or that a god would be a masculine is so wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Well, there's another dynamic here too. I brought it up before. I won't go into like the whole story detail of it, but of the golden bough and the masculine, the feminine, and specifically the patriarchy trying to suppress the matriarchy. And another element of that is because in the patriarchy, you get to keep like the father gets to continually pass down the torch to his son, the one that he raised and got to undo with all his culture and all his teachings. But in a matriarchy, it goes down through the daughter. So at that point, like the king always has to allow this new foreigner to come in and essentially take over everything, right? Like the new prince coming in that marries his daughter is going to supplant the king essentially in whatever role he had. So in order to maintain more control over, no, I want to make sure that, you know, this dynasty continues down this path. The patriarchy gives more control over that because the matriarchy is constantly, every single generation is allowing like another foreigner to come in and sort of like change the culture a little bit. So I don't, and it goes right into Bohemian Grove too, because that's exactly what Bohemian Grove represents, is just like establishing and being able to pass down from like one to the next, almost like a nepotism. So matriarchy kind of like fights nepotism just inherently, whereas patriarchy embraces nepotism.
Is it something about like women knowing, not, let me put it differently. Like, I see women as being like guides, you know, like to help men do what they're supposed to do in life instead of like not listening to women and their ideas and calling them crazy for thinking outlandish, why aren't men a little more open to the ideas that women do have? Like, not you guys, but like in general, when they hear a woman, oh, that's just a woman, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Like, where is that coming from? Because from what I know, back in the day, these brilliant men went to the seers, went to the witches, went to the mages, went to all those people, those prophetic women, and a lot of them were surrounded by Jesus, by the way, a lot of prophetic women. That's where he got a lot of his prophecies too, was through women, and they hide that. If you go into the Vatican library, you'll see all these women. He's surrounded by women in these books, and they don't tell you this. It's
You're
like,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
like why?
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to make a point too, because if somebody were to push back on that, because they always push back on apocryphal texts, right? That's like psyops, because nobody knows if the Nag Hammadi really came from the Dead Sea Scrolls or whatever. This, the Gospel of Mary, isn't even from that. Gospel of Mary is from the Berlin Codex, which is a completely different thing that actually came from archaeological like origins. Like they can pass down. Like it even has better provenance than most of our fucking what the Bible is now.
You're right. They discovered it in the 1800s, and Nag Hammadi was like 1945, 6 or 7.
Right.
I think it was 47. A lot happened in 1947, but
47, baby.
What's that?
Like almost
47.
Yeah, 47. Oh, 47. Yeah, check this out. So
47. It's always 47.
That's a magical number.
It's a Masonic number too.
Yeah,
It's a Masonic number?
apparently we're all Freemasons.
47 is supposed to be the degrees on the compass, but also the 47th proposition of Euclid is the Masonic version of the Pythagorean theorem, which itself represents this whole dynamic we're talking about the male and the feminine, and then the combination of the two. That's essentially A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Wow. And then there's also Pythagoras had the mystery schools, so there's that too.
Marisa,
And that's
you see
like
this?
the number of apparently.
There's your owl.
It looks backwards. It's backwards, but this is Gwen right here. And that is a...
Oh, really?
It looks like a backwards,
47.
but it's 47 in her feathers right there. I was trying to flip it, but that's her.
Gordy, your sound sounds nice for the first time right now.
Okay.
Yeah, like right now, this very moment.
You
I'm not
leave
touching
Gwen up there backward, whatever you did.
That magic worked.
It was Gwen.
I know. I was actually going to ask.
It was the divine feminine of Gwen.
I was like, Gordy, did you name her after Gwen Stefani? And then he was like, no. And I was like, oh. But I was going to ask, are owls patriarchal or matriarchal? Like
matriarchal. Definitely matriarchal.
I have a question. So 47 is tied to like the machine elves and the elves, the land of the elves. Okay. What if the story of Snow White is kind of like the story of like Mary and the elves and like creation and like Sophia and all of that? What if that's tied to that?
Well, that's not even a what if. That's for sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because those seven dwarves, I mean, they could be the seven archons.
Huh. I didn't know that. Okay.
Well, maybe not, because they protected her, so maybe not.
Well,
but
they had like a symbiotic relationship. They didn't just, I mean, if you step away from the Disney aspect of it, they were exchanging the jewels of the earth for like this divine feminine spirit, right? So like they were kind of like these earth elementals that live underground. They live in the dark. They thrive in the dark. And that's kind of like, they don't have any kind of concept of enlightenment or soul or anything. They literally live in the dark, you know, literally and metaphorically. And then in comes Snow White, And then she actually is like, here's what humanity is. Here's what the soul is. This is like every single Disney story ever. Little Mermaid too. She didn't have a soul. She wanted to get a soul from a human. But Snow White is basically saying, I'll teach you about what it's like to be human, what it's like to have a soul and be enlightened. And then in exchange, they're like, well, we can go and get you these mundane, jewels that we get from underground. Like, we have no use for them. We find them all the time. But if you've got a use for them, so it was like this exchange that they had going on. Like, I'll give you the goods, you give me the goods.
Interesting. I don't know why it came to my mind, but it did. Like, what if that 7 dwarfs? So forced. Anyway, it's off topic, but like it just came.
No,
to
when
my
you
mind.
said 7 dwarves earlier in the night, I was thinking of the 7 seas and how we have, if we were to think of them as 7 Marys, like 7 Mars, 7 Mers, 7 Moors. So then the 7 seas, you also have the whole calendar used to be set on the Pleiadians, which are known as the 7 sisters.
You're right.
So then you have the stars, and when the Pleiadians, when the 7 sisters aren't visible, that used to be when we were allowed to sail the ocean. That was the best time to sail, when the 7 sisters weren't visible because they were in the sea keeping it calm. So it's just interesting that our whole sky calendar above that we don't know anymore. But it's like, is this somehow representation of the Marys again, the 7 Mars, the 7 Mers, the 7 Moors?
What if it's just water? What if we this lady was talking to her water or ice cubes and said, if you know me, show me. And it produced the crystals of her first letter of her name. Like the marsh, the marine, the marfire, the marina, the mar. It's all water-based, these words. Maritime, Mary, water, womb. I'm telling you, we're living a womb, and we're probably like some kind of like cell in this reality, just morphing and doing. Like, I don't know. And in our reality, it seems like real life, but when higher ups in this fractal idea, like let's say they're mega giants, looking at us in this fucking thing, and they're like, oh, look at this germ, we're just probably like this petri dish. Who fucking knows? In water. I don't know.
I love the maritime law connection. I mean, just because I love Jordan Maxwell too, but we're talking about like birth canal, and you need a birth certificate, and like this whole concept. Yeah, if you imagine it as like a fractal, then that birth canal and the dock that you go into, it really is. It's not just like a metaphorical legal thing. Like, that might actually be happening at some higher level.
Yeah, like literally.
It's interesting. It's like, it's again, as above, so below. I always wonder where that comes from. Is it like Satan saying, as above, so below, and he's like below, and he's like, earth is like hell? Or is it God saying, as above, so below? Like, yeah, as above is heaven, and so below is like heaven on earth. It's like all about perspective.
What if we live in a chakra system and we're in that part of the womb, or maybe we're in the heart? What if or maybe the womb? And lower down is fucking what they call Dante's Inferno, which is the sacral chakra where all that fire happens, in Mother Gaia. Who knows?
Who knows?
We could live in a chakra system.
What if the idea
I believe
of
that more than NASA? Sorry, Gordy, but like I believe that more.
what if
So why do you do that?
I
Why
just
do you
love
do that to
Gordy.
me?
I love.
you
I
better
love-
have a
I love
nat
Gordy.
we're gonna have a
Why?
NASA show one week, and we're all gonna
All right,
dress
fine.
like
Let's do this. Let's hash this out.
I-
Let's
I
get
love
this
you, Gordy.
straight, all right.
What's the debate here?
I know. Why?
Do we have a
NASA.
space is
People
fake and
assume
space
that
is
I
real
think
debate?
something. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, like it's
Why?
not
Because I wear a NASA shirt.
the whole idea of a vacuum.
I eat butter.
It's not a vacuum.
What?
if space was a
water.
vacuum, it would be attached to a
happening?
woman's hand barefoot.
Or mouth.
Oh, sorry, am I allowed to say that? Or mouth.
What?
Hi.
Hi. There we are.
Oh, look it. Oh, you didn't turn it around. You did. I thought you turned around Gwen, but I don't want you
Oh,
to
I
turn around
didn't.
Gwen
No,
because
I don't
your
want to
sound's
touch
so good.
anything because I don't want to touch anything.
Fair enough.
It's
I
working.
think just not holding the mic and moving around
I
might
think
have
so
made all
too.
the difference.
Yeah.
I probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably me. I need to put the thing back up and maybe this
Yeah, because your voice is
hand thing
honey. I
wasn't
have to
working.
hear it.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks good. It sounds great.
And I'm relaxed. It becomes like a sound. It becomes like I'm hearing mom, mom, mom. Look at
Right.
me, look at me,
Mommy.
look at
That
me,
does
look
make
at me,
sense.
mom, mom, mom,
Mommy.
mommy, mommy,
And you can't
mommy,
hear what
mommy.
people are saying. Yeah.
No,
Mom.
because I have an attention span of an 8-year-old.
Ma. Mother.
Same.
If anything happens around me, then I'll totally lose my train of thought.
Someone earlier said, is Gaia Mary? And then that whole idea of someone saying that we live on a corpse of a being on this realm, which is a crazy idea, but I mean, it's an idea. But like the whole shrooms and like things like growing out of it, like we live on top of the flesh of a being.
Well, like the whole getting back to like Apocrypha and Nag Hammadi, there's the whole myth of Sophia and how Sophia takes the swan dive off the pleroma, which was heaven, right, to experience creation on her own, to find the law of creation, the male, female, you need a male and a female entity to create. For whatever reason, she leaves, and as she's giving birth, as she leaves the pleroma and is descending into darkness, and as she's giving birth, because she's so creative, she gives her thoughts, she's in terror, and her thoughts give birth to Yaldabaoth. So she gives birth to this abortion, the Archon. And so
and that's
actually,
what we live on.
Yeah, the world we live on. So basically, she was attacked, and she becomes Mother Earth to protect herself and protect humanity. Like, that's basically the myth in a nutshell. But I think that, that Sophia is Mother Earth, and there is a goddess. This planet is a living being.
That's what I think the spark is, honestly.
That's what I think the spark is yeah. As
The
a living
more I
being,
think about it, the more I
God.
feel it. I don't know why.
The spark has got to be
God,
the
if I'm
divine
wrong,
spark.
I'm sorry.
What else can it possibly be? And you know what? I have to say, when I put that out there, after seeing that video, I got a lot of people like very angry because,
Interesting.
because
Angry about what?
the whole
About like the
Why?
whole
What's-
idea of
what's-
the creator being a woman.
right.
And it's not to be blasphemous. It's like we
No,
have this
there's
idea
history
and
of the.
feeling of it,
This is not new. This is the origin of our myths. The first goddess was,
But it goes
the first
against
deity was
basically
a
the
goddess.
pre-Abrahamic
religion.
religions, and
Yeah.
that's the
Right, because we've been brainwashed.
But
right,
I've got to say, Marisa, your book, and I found it because of Project Chady. So listening to Chady's episode with you on there, I had to buy it, and I read it, and I probably cried like so many times reading that book. Like, just it was pretty.
Mine's coming in.
The
wait to read
whole, I like that it's in graphic novel format. So because who wants to sit down and read a book sometimes, but this is like, it's perfect, and it made it digestible. And then I showed it to my daughter, and she gets it now too. She's like, oh my gosh, they've totally deleted the feminine, like completely, it's what I needed to make my little final break from religion, not from God, obviously, but from religion. And it's, I really appreciate your work.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, it's really nice to be on here, and I love all the graphics I'm seeing. They're amazing, by the way.
Thomas is like a psalm of putting together these amazing. I found him like a few years ago now, and he just is super creative and puts together. They're becoming not just comics they're becoming moving things too. It seems like, I don't want to speak for you, Thomas.
They're
Like,
amazing, Thomas.
plug,
Yeah.
yeah.
You do better than I do. Most people do.
It's so awesome and so creative, and it is in that Mary Poppins way of like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Mhm.
So
It
Thomas
does.
wraps these huge, big concepts of conspiracy, and then he puts a little bit of twist in them, so it seems all fictional, but if you know the story deep enough, you're getting all this other info. And that's some of the comics, but then he has these little pamphlets that go through ideas of like MK Ultra or homunculus, and they're all like broken down and really
That's chick tracks.
Brilliant.
That's
So
what's
creative, man.
genius
So
about
creative.
It's a chick track. If you've ever remember, like as a Christian, finding those chick tracks in the bookstore or wherever they were left at the coffee shop and stuff like that, and you read it and you're going to hell. So Thomas has
As you
taken
do.
that format and done the MK, and I have one somewhere, but it's all packed up and stuff. But I have one, and my bookmark from the Occult Book Club. So check out Thomas's shit. He's like, this is
I mean,
the tip of the iceberg.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
since
great.
here's one of Thomas's that I just have that I can grab. But there's
Wow.
so many more, but that's the chosen one. And since I'm also doing it, here's the big shebang. I had to turn off my background
do
for
that
it.
one.
And this is
Yeah,
so
that's
awesome. And
Actually, I got a huge shipment in too, and I would need to get an order of the big shebang. I love the foil printing. I'm
so
like,
cool.
I'm dying to
Beautiful.
do like a cool foil cover at some point. These are all brand new. It still has those protector covers on. But this one's like the time samplers.
Oh, so sick, man.
This one
Wow, I
is
love the type.
probably more time samplers. This one's about Skull and Bones. That's why they got the little Skull and Bones down there. But yeah, and you were talking to Marisa about where did as above so below come from, and the best way that I've heard described is it's the Hermetic principle. But
Hermetics, yeah.
comic books is a great example of as above so below, because the whole principle of the Hermetic concept is that you describe things in metaphors and in similes and like in symbols, because those last way longer and they communicate a much deeper message than just telling someone, like the surface level facts, like ABC equals ABC. So if you can explain something to someone in a more metaphorical way, then they can retain that information way longer. And the information, it can it can go through that game of telephone, right? Where like 20 people hear it and it can keep shifting. But as long as the Hermetic principle stays the same, then the facts that they're passing along, they can kind of change. And then when you start talking about comic books, right? Like this is, in my opinion, I'm biased here, but comic books is like the highest form of doing this as above, so below, because not only do you get to convey specific messages through your captions and your dialogue, but all the artwork and specifically like the symbolism between how actions move between page turns and stuff, that's conveying information on so much of a deeper level than you can ever do by just putting it in text.
Like
I
great
agree with
magic.
you. I always, the thing I like about being in doing comic books and graphic novels. Well, graphic novels for me is that you decide on, you do the casting, you do the storyline, you control the dialogue, you're the script girl, you're the set decorator,
right? And you've got to be the director of photography, you've got to be the art director, you've got to be the production manager, like all of those things.
And then
that
when
normally you have a team for. You're everyone.
You're everything. So you're basically playing God with your book, kind of.
That is
right? But
high
you're the
magic.
director.
that's what I was thinking. It is the first meme magic to
Yeah.
be
More
able to take,
Creation magic, yeah.
because think of how many pages, any one thing, any one box that either of you produce, think of how many pages of writing that would be to try to put in every detail that you're explaining with one picture.
Yeah.
And you
It's
would
grid
never convey
magic.
the same info, because you'd get lost in the sauce. You'd be so buried in like reading all of this verbose information versus you see a picture, you get the idea, and you can convey that idea to someone else without ever having to even know how to read. I mean, that's really where like the whole premise of comics becomes like so incredibly important, is you don't have to know how to read. You can just look at it, see what's going on, and apply it.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I've
Mm.
often thought, like, were cave paintings like comics and graphic novels and
Right?
hieroglyphics? It's like, when you think about it, right? It kind of were.
Man,
Absolutely.
I always feel lucky that I grew up on comics, especially Silver Age comics, because I
Mhm.
was like just the right age to get the hand-me-downs of the like 60s and 70s stuff when I was like 7 or 8. Like I got dumped on a whole bunch of 60s like horror comics and super
Me
and like
too.
early Silver Age X-Men and stuff.
Mhm.
And like especially the Chris Claremont stuff I was like prime for that shit. Like it was beautiful. And because like and Chris Claremont, I kind of sorry I went on this because somebody mentioned Alan Moore, but I feel like a lot of that stuff it's magic too. Like I mean, when I remember feeling like I was in the stories, like this is me. They're telling me are they telling my story ahead of time or whatever? Like I'm feeling like it was prophecy or something when I was a kid. Because I learned about what hermetics was from like reading Doctor Strange,
Wow.
and I didn't know what that was as a kid, but I was reading, like ingesting that stuff, and I was like, oh, right, I remember that. And they described talking to animals like this. Oh, yeah. It's like all these things these magics that we are told we're forbidden or forgotten that we can do, or we are our natural tendencies, like superpowers or whatever.
That were
Like if we
squelched.
don't have those
Mhm.
reins, like we can do this shit,
Yeah.
Like I believe that magic, like all this stuff was hidden from us on purpose, so we can't find our full potential
Mhm.
and like integrate the same masculine and feminine in our own person. I remember thinking that like the hermetic idea of the yin and yang, like there has to be the masculine and feminine, like you and I remember thinking this. Thank you, Michelle from Healing Home, for prompting this thought. But we were in this discussion of masculine roles, feminine roles, and stuff like this. And I remember thinking, like, if you haven't done all of them by now, like you got a lot of more living to do. Like, if we kind of like, hopefully we embody like the nurturer, and as a man, like a straight man, like being in touch with your feminine side is okay. I think that's why people like guys fear this shit. Like, don't be afraid. It's okay, man. Like to acknowledge there is a goddess, that this is through myth, like throughout all of time. Like the goddess of Maya in South America was the creator spider goddess, right?
Mhm.
Who is also depicted as a green owl. So this stuff, like there's a theme here of these separated cultures that supposedly didn't have this connection, all using the same symbology. Like there's something to this.
Well, like Noah, I mean that every single culture has a deluge myth. So, and Noah has
Right?
many names in different cultures.
What's
I
a
just love
deluge
this
myth?
shit.
Of the flood.
But
Oh, okay. Okay,
That's
yeah.
a flood myth. Yeah.
A
So
water break. A big
again, we're
water
talking
break.
about
yeah,
breaking
man, the
the law.
water again.
What
A
is it that
flood.
triggers a man, even though they know they come from a woman? What is it for some men that like triggers them the idea that it could be a possibility? Like, why is that like not okay for them? Is it the indoctrination? Is it like they just don't want to accept that? Is it maybe like somewhere along the line they have mommy issues or something.
I would say it's mama trauma
Yeah.
because most of our traumas are from our parents. So
Yeah.
I would say so.
There's a lot of that.
Mama
Yeah.
trauma. So if you
Mama
had,
trauma.
well,
I had
most of
mama
our
trauma.
stuff when your parents are supposed to be the ones that protect you if they were bad. But
Well,
then
they're
they're
just growing up too. They're just learning as they go, and you don't know that when you're a little kid that they don't know everything.
Yeah.
That they're maturing. They're just little kids too.
and they
Just
were
pretending to
probably
be an
even
adult.
younger back then.
Yeah.
I mean, they were
Mhm.
probably like prepubescent at best.
Yeah.
And I mean,
maybe
did
even
they
teenagers.
get parenting
And
classes?
still
Their
hormonal
parents all
too.
would sit there and like drink every night. They'd be like, "Oh, it's 4 o'clock. We can have our alcohol," and they'd sit around. That was just typical.
And like super hormonal at that age too, like around the teens, like 19, 17, 16 even. Like they're at that hormonal stage. So talking about trauma and going through fucking craziness with your parent. Yeah, I see it.
Do you, not to totally jump topics, but I was also thinking about like horses and mares called Marys. And
Mm.
just it being written a different way, Mare, like a mare. And so, do we have any goddesses with this horse representation? Because I know there's like ideas of women that used to ride horses, and like that would be a great equalizer for women in battle before men to be able to ride a horse.
I'm trying to think if there's
The movie I remember where Tom Cruise is in it, where they see the unicorns.
Mhm.
And what is that movie
The
called?
Last Unicorn.
Legend.
Legend.
Oh, Legend.
Legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise
And-
is in Legend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. And
he's Jack.
and the female was so
another Jack.
important. Like the female virgin, the innocence of her was so important in that movie.
Lily.
And that's like the horse had some kind of connection to her. Why?
I'm trying to think. Well,
The Avatar too. They plug into their horse with the
Ugh.
mane and the hair being so important. And they would braid, they say in some ancient tribes, they would actually braid their hair into their horse's mane. So that's so similar to that Avatar plugin of like, will they accept you or not? Will you break this mare or this horse? I don't know. It's an interesting word.
yeah.
But I think breaking a mare would be very similar to like if you got your tribe taken over and all the men were killed or enslaved, then you would be considered a mare. Like, are they going to break you? Are they going to break your spirit? Are you going to accept your new education, your new religion, your womb now belongs to the new man? Like maybe overnight sometimes.
Like a brood bear.
Yeah. A water bear. So that's the other thing too. I was thinking like Aquarius, like how much representation is that to Mary, the water bear?
Like the womb.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Back to the womb of it all.
It's interesting. You're like saying breaking the mare. It's like breaking the water again.
Yeah.
Doesn't the Virgin and the constellation carry like a water thing? Or who is that?
Aquarian?
Oh, no, that's Aquarius. Never mind. Excuse
Yeah.
me. Don't listen to me.
She's got the grain.
That's so
I
weird.
think
I was
Virgin
thinking.
has the grain.
I was thinking about
Yes,
the
you're right. Yeah.
the animal kingdom and the gender role things, like with the horses. The seahorses are the ones that actually give birth.
The males,
I always
yeah.
thought that the
So
males
weird.
are the ones that she lays the eggs inside of him, and he fertilizes them and births
He does the
them out of
pregnancy,
himself.
yeah.
The whole
Is that
thing.
called squirting? Is the technical term for that?
It looks like it.
So
Like there's a whole thing where he convulses and it squirts out.
noise.
Well, I need to learn a
It's
thing or two from seahorses.
Yeah,
also
learn some
have
weird shit about
mater, womb, matrix, or matrix. We're probably
Breaking,
saying it wrong.
but you're breaking the water again.
Yeah, so it's like the matrix, the womb, the water, the mater. It's like mother,
It's interesting that all these different
the web.
the
And-
Ma is like in so many cultures too.
like for us, like the web, I guess we talked about it, but I forgot who it is. I'll find it. But there's this woman that we talk about. She's an ancient woman, I guess the one to first figure out how to weave in the culture. And they called her Marimanga, which means spider.
Mm-hmm.
Mary
Another
Manga.
spotter.
Yeah. I forgot her
That
name.
sounds like Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary Magda.
Yeah.
You know, goddess I really like is Matt, M-A-A-T, the one with the feather, like the truth.
Mott. Yeah.
Yeah, I love her.
Mm.
Yeah.
What is she the goddess of?
She's like, I think I kind of forget a little about, exactly what she's a goddess of. Maybe I think it has something to do with justice, but she'll like weigh somebody's heart with a feather. And if they're as light as a feather, then they're pure of heart. That's the idea there.
That's how you get to go into the afterlife.
Yeah.
Scales of Amat. Is that what that is?
What's that?
Is it the scales of Amat?
No, is it?
Isn't that the kind of the same thing in the Egyptian lore?
Yeah, I learned about that from Sesame Street. Did you guys ever watch that episode of Sesame Street?
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's this episode where they're helping like an Egyptian boy, and he's trying to, move on to the afterlife, and his heart has to weigh less than feathers, and so like, yeah, it was this most bizarre episode. It was a special episode of Sesame Street.
Interesting.
Big Bird helped him.
Yeah.
I want to know in Islam why they took away the 3 daughters of Allah, and no one really mentions them. Like the 3 goddesses, Al-Uzza, Al-At, and Manat. So they don't talk about them. And I think in Petra they have like, I guess, depicted in stone, because that's what Petra is, like a petrified everything there. So I wonder why. Like, it's like the key is to females. If you guys really would want to ask the question, it's like, why do they destroy everything female in life? From pictures to hiding everything female to what the female's done. It's like...
I think it has to do with life. It's humanity, and I think it's
try not to get angry.
Exercising the patriarchy, like the aggression, and just taking the heart out of humanity, just like taking the heart out of Mother Earth and taking the very life out of her, basically.
But for why? Like, if they know something,
they want to make us transhuman.
But so what's the secret that they know that they want to do this? If they know some major secret that we don't know, and their goal is to destroy humanity, what is the purpose for that? What is their goal? What do they get out of that? Because they're not going to forever. Or do they?
The fewer we are, the easier we are to control. Are
they fucking vampires?
True.
Are they vampires?
If there's really energy, and I mean, that we all believe in, and they have to feed us and water us, and we walk around and we mess up their earth. They don't consider it our earth. So we are just disgusting sheep running all amok. And but they need
cows farting.
Yeah, we're just cows farting. So they're just like, oh, they need our loosh, and they need our blood, and they need whatever else they take from us that we're unaware of, some kind of currency. So if they could just put us in a float tank and attach us to all the things and pump in Bill Gates genetically modified meat, and then we all allow ourselves to think we live inside of a real world that we're really living and eating and breathing, then they don't have to feed us, and they don't have to have us wander amok, and they can just have these big battery loosh farms of all of us just laying in Joe Rogan float tanks on DMT all the time. That doesn't
sound too bad, to be honest.
That is what I think they want. And they'll convince us that we're doing this because they'll be like, okay, get into this spaceship, and it takes 6 years to get to Mars. So we have to put you into this hypersleep, and everyone's going to be like, hey, okay, let's do it. And then they're going to put them into some hypersleep, and who knows where they're going to wake up. They could just wake up inside of a laboratory or a movie or a new Truman Show. But it's like the same way you were saying, like, could just a couple women go to Joseph and give him some drugs and say, hey, this is, ooh, an angel visited you and your wife didn't get knocked and this is the Son of God.
That they MK Ultra Jesus to get him to believe that he was the Messiah. Is that the idea?
No, that they're just saying, like, if
Joseph.
Virgin Mary got pregnant, Joseph.
I'm kind of like on this idea now. I'm like,
Well,
hey, this is fun. What
in
if,
the Quran,
what
it
if-
talks about how Jesus spoke like literally as he was born. Like
Yeah,
as
I
soon
know.
as he's born,
Isn't
Yeah.
that
he
a
spoke
trip?
and he said, guys, shake that tree. You know, to his mom, hey mom, shake that tree because it'll help you. Take the fig and eat it. And those people came and they're like, hey guys, yes, I am the Messiah. Like literally speaking.
Well,
So
you
that is the
know,
idea of the
Right.
homunculus for sure.
they say in
A
the
little
Nazi
man.
text,
Peop-
there was this woman this midwife who came in, and because they didn't believe that Jesus was a virgin birth and
Mm-hmm.
immaculate conception,
They're like, no,
and she
no.
gave her an exam, and her hand caught on fire, and Jesus touched it and healed her.
Mm-hmm.
And then she became one of the women who, went on the Jesus tour with like the Marys and Mary Magdalene. And
Wow.
so, I mean, he did that as a newborn.
That's a powerful portal, man.
Yeah.
It always
Exactly.
seem like
That's one
there's
Stargate there.
there's a lot of like
Wow.
fig association, wasp association, and UFO association. And figs are typically represented with one part of the earth, but then other people talk about all these figs in like the South, like in New Orleans and the Panhandle, Alabama, Mississippi. They say they have tons of figs there and like all through Georgia. And so it's just interesting that you have all that, like this fig, wasp, UFO, and then how heavy figs are in the Bible.
Not only that, if you look at Mary and a bunch of these like structures in the cathedral, her halo, if you really pay attention how it looks like a UFO behind her. If you pay attention to this, I have pictures that I have to find because it just came to me. I totally forgot about this, but it just came to me. And in a lot of these shows that they have produced, like the whole site of Mary having birth, this beam of light appears onto Jesus or Mary at the site of birth, like literally like a fucking laser light, zing, like at that
It looks
site.
like UFO. It looks
Yeah.
like how they describe UFOs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is another theory that's out there, which is kind of cool.
Huh. That's weird.
What if, I mean, because the Mayans talk about these people that live in Earth, like inside Earth. They're ant people,
Aunt sisters,
ant sisters. Yeah,
maybe seven sisters again.
maybe.
They're probably Antarians.
They're probably like very wise beings and they know a lot. Who knows? I don't know what they are, but they look like aliens. And Mayans, not the Mayans, the Amazonians call them, I forgot what they're called, but when you show them a picture, they didn't know what alien was. But when they showed them a picture of what an alien was, they're like, oh, that's a blah, blah, blah. But we call them ant people. And there might be people that live inner Earth. If you want to check that out, the last episode we go. And
Okay,
talk
I
about
think
that.
there are.
Yeah.
We
I
go
think so
deep, no
too.
pun intended.
Yes.
We go deep
Down the
on boy.
pipes.
Yeah. How down are you with
Lubed up.
the Blue Hopi Kachina thing,
I don't know
Marisa?
about the Blue Hopi Kachina, but I do think there's like Agartha, and I do think I heard that the Fountain of Youth is really in Florida, like below Disney World. I don't know. I've heard all these.
What is the Fountain of Youth, though? Is that like a sacrifice spot for children and they call it the Fountain of Youth, or is it water?
I don't know.
Or is there
That's a good
two different
question.
fountains of youth, like actual water and then the other side? Because blood is thicker than water.
That's true.
That's
And
not
then
the
maybe
whole.
it goes back
That's
to
not the
bloodlines
whole.
and blood, and yeah.
The blood of the covenant. Oh wait, that's blood is thicker than water is not the right phrase.
Mhm.
It's the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Hmm.
So it's actually the opposite that everyone thinks it is. It's the oath you make with your with your group is thicker than your family that you're born from.
Huh.
And that is totally the opposite of what everybody thinks it means.
Yeah. Yeah. And
totally the
everything's
opposite.
inverted, so I'm not surprised.
So why do people say that?
Because everything's inverted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mirror, smoking mirrors, baby.
Smoking mirrors.
Fucking
Murmur.
mirror.
His family likes to do that. Blood's thicker than water. You know, it takes a lot to divorce your family.
Hates mermaids.
And well, Myrrh and mirror, the first mirror was probably the reflection of Myrrh or Mar, the ocean, the sea. It was water.
That makes sense. Because like the whole, like, you know, in Spanish is mira is look.
That's true.
Or to like, yeah. So it would be like a reflection.
We call it pashchita.
What's that?
So what do you guys
Pashchita.
Okay.
In Albanian, I'm just trying to connect
to
something.
take it somewhere different? What
Okay,
about
take it.
Madonna?
Madge?
I feel like she's an inversion.
You mean
Wait.
Esther, right? You mean Esther?
Oh, does she call herself Esther now?
Yeah,
Much more
don't.
difficult.
Oh yeah, she changed her
Madonna.
name, her Kabbalah
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think she switched back again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I
If
just
it's
felt
even
like,
her,
what the heck is that?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But I mean, like, but has she been saying it all along? Because her name's Madonna. She names her daughter Lourdes, and her last name is Leon. You know, because she had a baby with Carlos Leon. So Lord Lion is the name of the daughter.
Lion of Judah.
Yeah. And then she goes on and she does Like a Virgin. She sings Like a Virgin. And then
Like a prayer.
Like a Prayer. Yeah. And then she does that whole, I shared it today with some of you guys, Cherish. That one, that's the weirdest video because it's got mermaids in it. And the song is about cherishing, and it's like Romeo and Juliet have never felt this way, I bet. And she's singing it to a little kid. She's singing it to a little kid.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
So she sings
it's the
Open
mermaid,
Your
so it's the whole myrrh of it all again.
Really?
She sings Open Your Heart to me to a little kid as well.
She
But
does.
that video, Cherish, the interesting thing about it, not to always make it about Britney, but Britney's been posting a lot of black and white pictures for 2 weeks. And I think all of her things are other things. All these black and white pictures by celebrities are taken by one photographer. It is a photographer known as Herb Ritz. Herb Ritz was also the director of the Madonna Cherish video.
You're right.
And all my weird digs that stayed in my brain, also like that wicked, what a wicked thing to say to make you feel it. Same thing. It's almost the same video. Like Herb Ritz just wheeled his wheelchair out to the beach and was like, roll around like Madonna did in Cherish. And then they were like, okay. But it's just, I think he's probably a big creep show. And
I think
everything's always in black and white.
I think he died.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think he was a creep show. I think he's kind of like a Terry.
I know who you mean.
Yeah, I think these
Terry Richardson,
photographers. Yes, I think these. Say his name one more time for the
I think
audience.
it's Terry Richardson or Terry.
Yeah, you're right.
I think these photographers, they get away with taking pictures of a young Brooke Shields. They get away with taking pictures of a young Macaulay Culkin. They get away with taking pictures of a young Drew Barrymore or a young Britney Spears, and they can do it all in the name of art. And so people, if they're just like, let me take modeling shoots of your daughter, all of us, or your son now. And then in the 90s, there was all this like heroin chic stuff that came out along the same time as Kate Moss. So everybody was made to look adolescent and young. All the models were made to look adolescent and young, and all the stuff that was through all of the magazines and everything was snuff. So that way there was no discrepancy anymore between what was art, photography, and snuff. And now it was all just blended together. But I think these photographers had a big part of it because we think of them like, oh, it's her Brits. It's her Brits. Of course I'll get a photographer. Of course Britney can take pictures with her Brits, or of course Madonna will roll on the beach with her Brits. But anyway,
Yeah,
not to
black
get
and
off.
white and out of focus.
Yeah. And now there's an app for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's
It's
Miss
just
Mary
an
Mac?
Instagram filter.
Miss Mary Mac.
Miss Mary Mac, Mac.
And you did
all
the
dressed
slap
in
game.
black, with silver
Yeah.
buttons,
all down her back.
back. She jumped so high. She touched the sky. She never.
Asked
She
her
didn't
sister
come
for
back.
50 cents.
Or so, yeah. Yeah, I missed that part. But anyway, she jumped in the sky. She went so high. She didn't come back till the 4th of July. Ooh,
You
Liberty.
think that was about drugs? She was like a goth chick who was taking a shit ton of
You think
drugs.
she did a Quaalude?
Drugs.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
hilarious. I love it.
And every little girl is sitting there.
It's all about drugs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
doing
right.
little slap magic with each other. What about Mary Had a Little Lamb?
Mary had
That one tripped me out when I just thought about that the other day because it's
lamb?
like the Lamb of God, you know, and
Yeah.
why did I never make that connection before?
Whose fleece was white as snow.
Which would be Jesus
Right.
because he's the unblemished sheep.
What about Mary Jane? And why that name? Is there something about her?
Marijuana.
Are we taking her wrong? Should we steep her in water and drink her?
Well, also the name for
Saltwater?
Salvia divinorum is known as Maria Pastor or Mary the Shepherdess. I always thought that was
Wow.
interesting. Why are there so many drugs named after Mary in particular?
Weird.
Mary in Last Dance with Mary Jane, little Tom Petty.
More Mary Janes.
Yeah, Mary Jane's the shoes.
Yeah.
And they're such a fashion statement. I thought of a bunch of celebrities with Mary, and a lot of them were like Mary Elizabeth Olsen. Like they all had names that were like Mary Stuart Masterantonio,
Mary Steenburgen.
Mary Steenburgen. That's she's what, married to Ted or
Ted Danson.
yeah, Ted Danson.
Yeah.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Right. I loved her.
My girl. Ted Danson, a weird thing is that he dated Whoopi Goldberg. What?
I know, and he had blackface, remember?
Weird.
Yes.
I remember
I always-
a Halloween party where people were dressed as that year. I was like,
Ted Danson in blackface. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not being racist. I'm Ted Danson in blackface.
I'm not being racist. Ted Danson's being. I'm being Ted Danson being racist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm showing you what a
Like, they were-
mockery this is.
I love that everybody did the thing that they were doing the thing of. I love it when that happens.
Did you guys see the new GQ magazine cover with Kim Kardashian? Is it GQ with Kim
Yeah.
on the front?
Yeah.
I didn't see
Man
it.
of the year.
What?
Oh, well, let's discuss it real quick.
What's happening?
Yeah.
We'll go back to the
Let's do
topic,
it.
but I feel like this is a show that we should discuss it because
We're talking about divine feminine.
we're talking about the divine feminine, and the man of the year is Kim Kardashian. I don't think she's no longer Kim Kardashian West. So yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to know what you guys thought of it.
What?
I think I look better in a shirt and tie. Just saying.
Honestly, as
We should have worn a tie.
pissed off women are for men, going
Good
in
God.
women's magazines, I feel that men should be pissed off to see that.
I agree with you 100%.
I hope
I
they
mean-
are.
Not like pissed off, but like, that is that is that. Like, why be GQ Woman of the Year? Why can't you be that? Because that's what you are. You're not a man, or are you?
I feel like
don't
this
know.
is more gender fucking.
Yeah, and
you?
GQ has always been kind of like propaganda bullshit anyway. Like nobody's gonna, who's a real man is gonna be paying attention to what fucking GQ thinks.
Okay.
Yeah, my
No,
thought
you think-
exactly. Like the only
Do
one
you
that
think
cares
like
about this
yeah,
is
GQ is just for the gays?
I mean, you said it.
Like only gay men. It's called gay choir or what? I don't even know. Oh, Gentlemen's Quarterly.
Gentlemen's Gay
It's not called
choir.
gay choir.
I love it. That's better. I like gay
But in reality, I was thinking, do you think in any way Kim Kardashian could be incensed with the same thing I am as a woman, that when men have taken over our effing sports again and they've taken over our beauty pageants, and her stepfather was legitimately our woman of the year a few years ago. And I also found it interesting as hell that she was holding a bag of Cheetos specifically. And I felt like this was something to Donald Trump.
Orange man bad
Gotcha. Yeah.
or good.
Of course it is.
A good bag of chips.
Well, she's licking her fingers. And if you remember Kim Kardashian, she went to the White House to get a woman freed. She met with Donald Trump.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Ivanka Trump hangs out with her.
Yeah, and she's just very
I thought
very
she was
interesting
all
person.
into what's it called though? Like
Balenciaga and shit.
well, and I thought like she was on Hillary's phone chain, you know.
Maybe she's a spy.
I heard they're all witches. That's
The
They are.
K family.
I buy that.
Like Big Kathy, Little Kathy, Kim and Kyle Richards. They are all K's, and it's the same. They're all besties. But then sometimes I have to, like, I'm on the fence sometimes with the K's because supposedly Little Kathy and Michael Jackson were best friends and both named their daughters Paris. And I always get down with like Michael Jackson in my idea and my romantic comedy that I write of a good guy, bad guy movie. Michael Jackson's a good guy.
Yeah, same in my book.
We don't have to get off Madonna, but Michael Jackson and Madonna did go on a date once.
When I was a little kid, I always would pretend to be Madonna and I would be married to Michael Jackson. In my head, that was like the ultimate pair.
Madonna also went on a date with JFK Jr.
Ooh.
Yeah, she did.
And Dennis
He had
Rodman
quite
too,
a
right?
harem.
And Vanilla
Yeah,
Ice.
she banged Dennis Rodman.
Yeah,
He
you're
put it
right.
in his book.
And Derek Jeter, no?
I don't know about.
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if there is something that you in a which way, if you knew in a which way, you knew you could gather sperm and it was actually your egg that decided what sperm was the best for you. Because Madonna, in a way, is just like, I'm going to immaculately conceive. I'm the Madonna. And so she doesn't need a man
I'm
to
like
help
a
take
virgin.
care. Yeah, I'm like a virgin. So I'm just going to have sex with all these male specimens that are kind of a check mark. Like, even if you look at Dennis Rodman or you look at the one she had Lourdes with, like he was a tall drink of water.
He was really good
He
looking.
was so good looking.
Yeah.
He was a personal trainer, wasn't he? I think he
Yeah.
was.
At the time that she did that, Cher also had a young man. Remember the bagel boy?
Rob, what's his name? Rob, yeah.
Yeah. Cher, I feel like my clothes are falling off. I know this robe is like unbelievable, and I was so hot in it. I was like, I have to take my clothes off underneath it, and then I just feel
That's
like
how I feel.
yeah, the way I sit, it's just stripping off my shoulders. So I'm just sitting here in my bathrobe, but it is a Jedi bathrobe. Let's see. Look this is how big it is. This is just supposed to be on the front panel. It's all the way back on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry, we didn't have to get off topic with my Jedi bathrobe.
You
I
look
love
so
it.
Moses.
Yeah.
I was parting the Red Sea because Gordy's sound was making me so frustrated. I had to get my staff, and I was like, I am gonna part this Red Sea if it keeps.
Getting your
But then he
people out of
fixed it,
Huh?
and then I felt like, I feel like sexy Jesus.
Like the staff in the water, it's like the thing in the portal, like, to spread the seas.
The staff in the water. That's like
The staff in the water spreads the Red Sea.
it parts the Red Sea. Oh wow.
That's
Right?
not sexual at
Tell
all.
me that is like
But everything is sexual when you think about it. Even nature, even in plants, it's all sexual. Like that part of it too, it's like there's something very special in that space when you're procreating and when you're doing it right and when you're doing it at a certain time, when you're planning it strategically at a certain time of month. It's a magic, especially if you know what you're doing and you reach that level of nirvana and procreate
Mm-hmm.
with a manifestation, like an intention to it, babe. We're gonna fucking create the super baby, all right? And like plan it, manifest it, both believe it. And with that energy and that creation, who knows? You could probably create the next like genius, or who knows, the next Christ. Or
would you
I don't want
plan
to
it
say
by the planets? Is that why they call planet?
planet. Probably.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And then
interesting.
would you also plant plants by the planets?
Planned
Well, we do
pregnancy.
kind of like harvest season, so
Yeah.
under certain alignments.
So is all this stuff, are we supposed to be planning it a little better by the planets?
Because I know you're supposed to plant tulips now and they grow in the spring. Like not now, but like earlier on, just a little earlier on.
Well, there's like you could use the Farmer's Almanac to like do everything. It'll tell you when to potty train your kids and be successful, like what week of what month. It's bizarre, but I mean, it really like if you actually look at all the little things that it tells you in the Farmer's Almanac, it's there for a reason. They notice the patterns.
So like the 3 magi or 12 magi or the 3 kings as they're known today, they were Zoroastrian, and so they paid attention to the sky clock so well that they knew that Mary, where she was going to be and that she was going to give birth that day and
Mhm.
where. And so then you have this name again, Magi, and then like Magdalene. It's like that MAGA, that mag is so heavy.
And maggot, like you said.
And even the word maggot, like they try to make that word, it's even like a twist, it's an inversion to take that witch and put a T on the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if maggot is also a worm and a worm is also a dragon, this gets interesting.
Yes, it does. As soon as you said worm, my eyes went like whoop. And wormholes, like portals.
And Madame Mim, the thing she turns herself into.
I love Madame Mim.
Yeah, Madame Mim, MM, which is a 3-3. Always, it's like Mickey Mouse and everything. It's just whoop, whoop. So Madame Mim, she turns herself into a dragon, and then, which is the biggest thing, she's like, "Let's go, Merlin." And what does he turn himself into? A germ. And that's so typical Bill Gates. That's exactly how. Look at the war magic difference.
That's so interesting. So
Yeah,
you
he
know,
turns himself
Zeus
into a little
turned,
germ.
Zeus turned himself into a dragon and got into Persephone's cave and raped her.
Man,
You know, just saying.
Those Greek gods.
Zeus, man. Greeks are
So-
rapey.
He was so rapacious, that
'Cause
Zeus.
didn't he rape somebody else as a goose or something? A
Swan.
swan?
Yeah, that's
you know what's interesting in this book that I read? It's called The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. They only have one page of Mary, just one little page.
really.
Yeah, and it says here, at 3 years old, she went to a temple to receive blessings from her priest, okay? And when the high priest was a prophet and a seer, when he saw Mary, he said, "Behold, this child will be the mother of an honored prophet and a master of the law. She shall abide within the holy temple of the Lord." And Mary did abide, and she went to Sanhedrin and taught all the presses of the Jews, and she was delighted in the law. And she reached womanhood and betrothed to Joseph and Jacob, and that was it. And
That was the life of Mary in that book.
in that book. But it did talk about Jesus's whole journey of going to Egypt and Tibet and yada yada and all these places. But I mean, I like the idea of like the seer
Mhm.
kind of seeing like this all happening.
Mhm.
But then I question, why would that writer write that? Is that some kind of like MK Ultra thing, that like a program to put into a child's mind at such a young age and indoctrinate them at
Mhm.
such a young age with studies and whatnot, and different studies of magic to
Mhm.
probably even perform some crazy blasphemous, I don't even want to say blasphemous, but maybe necromancy. I don't know.
Well, Mary and Mary, it's interesting how much they were together, not just at the crucifixion, but at the resurrection.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. There were 3 Marys. I mean,
Yeah. Who was the third Mary?
I think it was.
Mary's sister Martha. Is that the same?
I think it was
Mary?
her. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm like.
No worries. We know it's late.
Because
But
some people think that that is Mary Magdalene, but then there's like no proof that they think that it's the third Mary.
But with
Yeah.
both of them, you have Mar and Mar. And then you
Mhm.
said Holy See, you said seer.
Mhm.
Imagine if the like women were like before, if they just were seers.
Mhm.
Like, so it was a holy see instead of us thinking of it saline or seven seas or something like that. It was an actual site.
Mhm. Yeah.
What if the Delphi is all connected to this?
Yeah,
And we
because that was
talk
always
about
a
the
woman, right?
dolphins. Dude,
There was
like,
Yeah.
what if
Well,
that,
the oracle was
because,
a woman.
Oracles.
this
yeah,
is
man,
the
like,
Oracle of Delphi. We were just chatting about this in
Mhm.
chat the other night, and it
yeah,
is so rad. And we just came across it by all chatting that the
Mhm.
Oracle of Delphi is the orca of dolphin.
Oh,
And so there's
interesting.
these two things that
Mhm.
if the fallen, and you guys were talking about like what we could be living in, and people talk about a super tree, or if we cut down like a Tower of Babel or whatever, or if it babbled like a brook and not necessarily words, could it have been some sort of umbilical cord? Could it
Mhm.
have been some sort of a connection or a silver cord to a higher realm? But
Mhm.
if the fallen fell, Isis makes more sense to me than Gilgamesh, because she would be a womb, and only a giant womb could have Nephilim.
Mhm.
The daughters of man could never carry Nephilim in their womb. The sons of man could impregnate a giant womb, but the daughters of man would explode. They wouldn't be able to handle it.
yeah.
So the way of recreation, it makes sense later on if the fallen were actually women and they were impregnated by men, and then the men were banished into the sea. The merman makes sense instead of it always just being sirens calling into the way that we know it. And then slowly over time, the women like all lose their power, but then the men somehow secretly find that. You have the secret, the teaching schools of the mystery schools of Pythagoras. So they find this. And what if they're like, shit, we can recreate these bloodlines, we can recreate these Nephilim, but these human bitches, their wombs aren't big enough to do it. Let's try it in a cow's womb. Let's try it in a giraffe's womb. Let's try it in an elephant's womb.
Or a
And so,
hog.
yeah, but that's
Mhm.
might be where you get this idea of homunculus, is they're trying to recreate the giants that women could never carry.
Right.
The daughters of man could never carry.
I
That's
don't
like,
know. It's,
Takes me back to the whole Anne Rice Taltos series. She like gets into the whole DNA having like a different helix shape and
mhm.
creating the giants.
Right.
There's this ancient well, I'm not going to say he's ancient, but he is a priest in Africa, and he knows about the ancients, and it's all this information and technology of ancient gadgets that he has and wears around his neck. He has this marble looking thing. I don't know if it's marble, but it's made of some kind of weird stone, and like it's like you can see through it. So he uses this device to envision a dolphin's eye. So he looks through it at the sea. He looks at the sea and he envisions a dolphin's eye, and he tries to connect with the dolphin to receive higher messages from what he calls a divine mother. He believes it's a divine mother, but
Interesting.
yeah, he's very deep on don't kill the dolphins, don't kill the whales. These are the highest connections to source.
Mm-hmm.
Like they connect to our dreams. They connect to our like knowing to help humanity. That's why they don't want us near them.
Right. That could be.
All right. I want to fly through some of Marisa's art on Mary, because just in case she needs to get out of here, because I know we're crazy people that will stay up and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, we'll stay up all night. So if you gotta go, like,
yeah.
you have
So
to relax.
yeah.
what's that?
So I definitely want to share this, so that way anytime that you want to get out of here, you totally can anytime after that. But I want to go through some of this stuff anyway, and let's see if I
Okay.
can get it up seamless while Gordy sings some music.
Oh, well,
Maybe something Mary. Do you know any Mary J. Blige?
Some medicine go down.
I don't even know you born.
Really, I had it at my fingertips. I just wanted to see what you were going to come up with.
Okay.
Let me see if I can zoom into some of this. Can I get this bigger? I don't know if it does. Oh wait, I can zoom, but it doesn't make my screen bigger. This is baloney.
Mary, don't you weep.
Really?
Tell your mother not to moan. Tell your mother not to moan.
Let's see. Can I make us tiny? Boom.
There you go.
There we go.
And then let me zoom out. Sorry, I'm not covering at all. Okay, perfect.
Is this Fatima?
No, that's
Mary.
Mary.
Hello. I'm over here.
Oh.
She basically
Don't
used
they
to.
depict her like that?
Well, you know what? That's a good question, because Fatima, she did dance she did make the sun dance, and she came through the sun. So
Mm.
yeah, Fatima was my inspiration there. So you're totally right.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
I like how the world has an eye.
Yeah, well, that's Mother Earth was is a character in the book.
Oh,
So
And I know I have them in order on one half of my screen, and then I got to go to this half of the screen so I can see them. Sorry, everyone, for the hold up.
I
For
am
the
the
technical
Immaculate
difficulties.
Conception. I am the Queen of Heaven. I am the
mediatrix.
mediatrix of the
Divine
divine grace. I can't see that bottom part there.
I
Oh,
know.
how
How she loves to appear in the sun.
Uh-huh.
Again, that's right, Fatima.
So is it the sun, or is that the sun?
Well, the sun is who she gave birth to, but she would appear in the sun. That's like that's what she did. And,
So is she Christ also? She's Christ energy.
well, she is Christ energy. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm going
So
back to
Christ
my.
is not necessarily just masculine.
No,
Christ.
Christ energy. Mary Magdalene is Christ energy.
Uh-huh.
This one I thought was interesting just because these are all the different Our Lady of Grace, Our Lady of Lourdes, Our Lady of La Salette. They all appear when intercessions are needed, like what happened now in Mexico with the 703 deaths, and then the Virgin Mary's crying just this week.
Yeah.
I used to have Our Lady of Guadalupe in my house. I don't have it anymore.
You have her everywhere.
I used to. I was
Yeah.
married to a Mexican man.
I know. I'm so not as. I had this all rigged so I could just go through it. And now I'm like, just unload from this, because who knows what'll happen.
Why are rosaries called rosaries?
I wonder if they were like dried roses.
Huh.
Originally,
Maybe
Project
they
Rose,
were like
rosary.
rosebuds. It's a good
Isn't it tied
question.
to the word Rosicrucian too?
It could be. That's a good question.
The Rosy Cross.
Rosy Cross.
The
That could
Rosy
be.
Cross.
Isn't Mary sometimes depicted with holding a rose?
Our Lady of Guadalupe that's how she
Yeah.
gave San Juan Diego, she gave him roses that were out of season, and didn't
Mhm.
even grow in that part of the country in 1531, so like in
Right.
the 1500s. And so that was his sign, to take to, you know, the parish priest or whatever who didn't believe him the first 4 times.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I want to get
So this right here is again, this is Our Lady of Fatima, and she was given 3 secrets, but of course the Vatican didn't release it, and Our Lady of Akita did, which is that Satan is in the church. Satan infiltrated the church, which is what we already know. And these are...
Sorry if they're out of order a little
That's
bit.
okay. That's all right.
And this is your Sophia. She's like always purple and sparkly. She's the one that...
that's God the Mother, but
Oh, that's the
basically, I
mother
think-
goddess?
Yeah. My son had said several times there is no original sin. They both say it. So
Purpley, sparkly mother goddess, huh?
mm-hmm.
Really?
they were talking about something about the female in here, and
Mm-hmm.
they talked about it, calling it the Akasha. Yeah, behold the Akasha. There's a female energy. Okay, for all the wounds of men. Hold on, where was it? Oh my God. But anyway, they call it the Akasha, and the Akasha is where the Akashic records are. Like all the memories are held of humanity.
Uh-huh.
So I wonder what that...
Well, to tie it back into Isis and Anne Rice, Anne Rice in the lore of the vampires, they originated from Isis. Like she was the first original vampire, and in that, her name was Akasha.
I know I heard that somewhere. Yeah,
But it's kind of interesting that Akasha would be the holder of the records, and we're talking about the woman as the womb, right?
And the womb, that water it has a memory of creation.
Yeah.
That helps form things also and feed nutrients through. Wow.
Marisa, why did you use the mother goddess as a purple, sparkly character?
I just thought, well, I just thought that purple was kind of like a very like, I was just thinking of chakras and like the indigo chakra.
Yeah.
It was very higher consciousness, and I don't know, that's kind of what spoke to me.
My name means
Very royal too.
What's that?
My name means purple in Albanian, where I'm from.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And didn't my Maria go on some kind of like dig on something about purple, or asking a question about purple?
Human vibration.
Spectrum?
It's one of human vibration with the John Benet Ramsey thing. Those are like her two, is like the purple being always the color of deception they show us in TV. Anytime there's like a purple gaze or purple screen or purple and false flag, she'll find it. And so she thinks it's like a big tool of their illusion that they show us on TV.
Interesting.
I won't keep you all night. If you want to plug anything, please feel free. And we're going to get you back to Goddess Talk more in the future on Project Cheney and on the Secret Society of Good Guys. And we love that you hung out and were a great sport to even dress up. And
yeah,
thank you so much
for having me.
We loved having you.
I had a great time. I love talking with everybody. It was really great conversation.
Yeah, I love your artwork
and
so
I
much.
adore your
It's so cool.
energy.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Well, thank you and I just think you guys are amazing. And thank you so much. And
we appreciate your time. I appreciate it.
And thank you for all the graphics. Are amazing.
You don't get opportunities to talk about stuff like this very often, so
Really?
I really appreciate it. I mean,
Well,
in your our regular lives, this stuff doesn't come up other than like private conversations, like with nobody, like that. People just don't think deeply
They don't
about
want to
these
talk about it.
things. They
Yeah.
don't want to
I
talk
love
about it
talking
because
about
they're
this.
afraid of,
Yeah.
like,
Same.
I don't know, social taboos or bullshit. I don't know. But that's maybe on us, like, that we put those fears on it so we don't talk about it because of our social programming or whatever bullshit that we've been through. So thank you for hanging and talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, and I really had a great time, and it was
And
great
you're
talking.
welcome back anytime.
Anytime.
Really, I would love.
Yeah, literally anytime.
Okay, well, thank
And
you.
we'll
so
have a
much.
more primetime show coming up eventually.
All right.
Something
All right, well, have a good
easier
night,
hours.
everybody, and thanks
Good
again.
night. Thank you so much.
Good night. Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
I know. Well, and yeah, awesome. I'll put this up at the bottom of the screen one time and you guys can find all of her stuff. And I really suggest to everybody out there, like this, the same as like Manly P. Hall, I go to this as a reference book so frequently. And it's a comic, so it doesn't seem like you would go to it as a reference book, but because it's a comic, it's so easy for me to find the words I need to look up, the
Absolutely.
exact picture. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm going for. And then there's so much information shoved in it. And it's like, I like it in the same way I always like big up Thomas, is because there, if you look at any slide on anything that Thomas does, there's so much in the background, even of his moving still behind his screen, why everyone, there's just so much even on the pin board that some of it is like level 3 conspiracy, some of it's level 4, but some of the shit you have to know, and that's always my favorite, that I'm like, that is a deep cut.
Thomas, you've always been an artist doing this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very talented. Very talented. Good stuff.
Well, thank you. I mean, I honestly don't think I've ever been great as an illustrator, but I've always wanted to be such a good illustrator, so I've always like gravitated towards other artists.
But I think you found your shtick.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, that makes you a great artist.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite artist? Like, who was your,
like? Does it have to be comics or just like?
Well, I mean, okay,
like Hieronymus Bosch or
okay, who's your Hieronymus Bosch? That's great. Yeah, do you have a thing for Hieronymus Bosch that you just like?
I do. I think that he's one of the best.
Just dug into the like all the little corners and like zoomed in.
Well,
and
dude,
all
like a Bosch image is something that you could have your entire life and always find something new every time you look at it.
Kidding.
I love that kind of like details inside and then you read something about his life and you're like, oh my god, I gotta go and look at this artwork. It means something completely new now. I love that concept of it.
I love that.
I gotta get this out of my face
There you
without
go.
fully losing my character.
Here we go, hippie Jesus.
And
like hippie
this
Jesus.
this hairline, like
Yeah.
if it wants to be, it's so Muslim. Like it wants to be so low.
Oh god, what's the lady from the Housewives show that has like no forehead and is just all hair?
Bethany Frankel?
I wouldn't know the name, but
All
you know what
right.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When I turn to the side, I just look like someone to myself, famous, and I wish I knew who it was. Like I turned to the side for a second and I was like, oh, it was I think it was a lady.
Why is that Mary's symbol?
Lady with hair.
Why is that her symbol? Is that an M? And what's in between the M? What is that?
The bottom of that cross. I don't
In
you
the
know?
middle of the M, like going between the M? You guys see that?
Yeah,
What
it's
is
like
that?
Yeah, it looks like it's attached to the cross above the M, right?
Oh, there's like another cross this way, like
a bottom.
this. If you see it, whoa, it looks different, totally different this way. Doesn't even look like an M this way. But do you see it? Like there's like another kind of cross, but like a shorter one, or a T that goes through the M. I don't know.
I don't know. I know there's cults
Oh,
of
no.
Mary on the planet. I mostly
Yeah.
just looked into words. I
Can we
knew
do
about
Harry Mary?
what's
Harry
Harry
Mary?
Mary?
Have you guys never heard of Harry Mary?
No,
Show
but
us
somebody
Harry
else
Mary.
brought it up.
Oh God!
Dude,
All right, hold
blow
on.
our
Let me.
minds, please.
And I just wrote a whole thing on this.
Get
So
out.
I've got like all the actual citations of the names of these art pieces. Okay, Bigfoot. We're gonna big. I was trying to remember. So in the Bigfoot pamphlet, it goes into some of like the biblical references to it. So okay, so here, I'll see if I can pull up some
Harry
images of this.
Mary. That's what I feel like right now.
So one of them is 1492. A guy named
Wow.
Rumschneider. Right. Yeah. Once I find it, make sure I'll pull up the right picture.
1492. Sail the
Yeah.
ocean blue.
Here we go.
The Mar.
Sure. Here we go. Okay.
The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
And the Santa Maria. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa
Oh wow,
Maria.
she is
So here's
American.
one of the Harry Mary. There are numerous Harry
What
Marys, which
is
is why
this?
this is like an interesting concept. So
Weird.
that, I mean, you're not just overlooking. Like that is 100%. She's got hair growing out of her entire body except for her face. So this is one Harry Mary. This is 1492 Rummenschneider altarpiece. And then there's another one called the Sforza Hours.
Sforza?
Yep, Sforza. I gotta make sure that I'm a human being. Apparently,
Like the Vatican Sforzas?
yeah, correct.
Huh.
Because I think that's who actually was like the patron of it. So here's another version
Oh
of
yeah, I remember
Harry Mary.
this. Holy shit.
What? What a trip.
Right, and then there's another one from 1460, which is older than these two, called Polyaglos, Assumption of Mary Magdalene. So let me just search for this one.
Assumption. Interesting.
And I actually there's a couple of them. So here's, oh man, I swear I just scrolled down and I saw it. Well, here's the other one. So
Oh wow.
another Harry Mary.
And then
Why is she so
1,
hairy?
2, 3, 4. Okay.
And then we've got, let's see if this will pull. That's one that I showed you a second ago. This is from the Sforza Hours. And then here's the other one.
Oh,
And again, it's a very specific and very consistent theme. And I mean, if the explanations that I've heard is that like she was too divine to show completely nude, so this was just like one way, but also the hair could have reflected like the rays of the
Rapunzel?
sun, so that like she was holy and just like emitting like sun rays, I guess.
Rapunzel?
Or Rapunzel is a great example for this too.
Holy shit.
What about this?
Mm.
The something else we were just talking about of recently. The Venus of Willendorf. The Venus of Willendorf has an afro, like hair braided all the way around her eyes.
Ooh.
And she had to cover her face because if anyone saw her face, they would like perish or die, or their face would melt off, or one of these lures. So like no one could see her face. So it's almost like, and we were saying, is she an Afroed deity? Is she an Aphrodite? Is she an Afro deity? So in that same way of Harry Mary, is Harry Mary another representation of the Venus of Willendorf, just having the afro cover her eyes, but in Mary's, she's the virgin, so instead of it covering her eyes, it covers her whole entire body.
So she's also Aphrodite.
So she's also a afro deity, a hairy deity.
You know, men don't really know this, but women are actually hairy. You guys just don't see it. This
American women
truth.
aren't.
You know, so I'm just saying, women are hairy too. We just like clean up because, you know, we clean up.
I used to not be that hairy, but since all my hair has been growing back, I'm so hairy. I feel like the peanut butter solution. Like I'm so hairy everywhere.
So why do we like dehair ourselves? For what reason?
So we're faster swimmers.
Well, they say that, but isn't our hair like part of our nervous system? And don't they say in ancient cultures that this is somehow like your defense mechanism? Like when you're sleeping, it keeps alert. Like your senses are like kind of aware through your hair. So when danger is around, hence like Native Americans, they grow their hair long and really don't shave body parts, I think. But that's like an alert system. Like,
Yeah, the Apache, or is it the Navajo? The Navajo coders.
I think
They
so.
wouldn't cut their hair when they like helped out in World War II. But I don't know. Bodybuilders shave all their body hair, like their whole entire bodies,
For like
But
definition purposes.
definition, and also because like people don't tell you before you go get a spray tan. It doesn't go on and stay on well if you have body hair.
If
Yeah.
you shave all your body hair and stuff, then no one can do a spell on you. And DNA.
But they can use your
Right.
hair to make a
Yeah,
spell on
your
you.
actual hair.
But that's what I'm saying. If you like we're gonna go into battle against magic people, maybe you would
Better
shave all
pull
the
out
hair off
those
your body.
eyelashes.
Huh. That's a good question. Has anyone mentioned Bloody Mary?
Ugh, I love Bloody Mary. That's the first thing that like kept me up at night. First grade boy like telling me about Bloody Mary and in the mirror thing, and like,
Is
oh
that a
my god, it
spell?
scared me so bad.
Is that a spell that they created to like, I don't know.
Well, there was 2 Marys that they said it could have been after. One was Mary, Queen of Scots, and then the other one was Mary, a different Mary. But it took her a really long time to get decapitated. And so like the first time that
It didn't go all the way
it
through.
didn't go all the way through, and then the second time it didn't go all the way through, and then the third time it didn't go all the way through, that they eventually had to get a hacksaw and
Oh
hack
my gosh.
her decapitation. And so it was so bloody for everybody that there's lures that Bloody Mary is one of those 2 Marys.
The mirror.
The whole Mary also was like big into the Patience of the Medici, which was taught to her by John Dee, because John Dee was her court magician.
In my language, posture, mirror, means behind look or past look. So it's like, why do they name it that? Past look, posture. Like, is it, I guess, like a looking glass, pretty much. That's what it's saying. Like a past look, a mirror called a past look in my language. Because if you guys don't know, but they're discovering now more and more that the Albanian ancient language is actually the root of many languages of the Indo-European language or languages. So a lot of these words are rooted back to it. So I go back to the Albanian language to look for the roots of words. So that's why I keep bringing up Albanian, if you guys are just wondering. But yeah, posture, the mirror, smoke and mirrors. And I talked about that whole idea of like the center of the earth could be like the black sun could be the mirror that's reflecting the projection of whatever this could probably be, if it is a projection.
Like obsidian.
Probably like a black mirror.
Like black ooze in your phone. Like Vril. Do you think that Marisa was dumb when I asked her if she'd fuck her clone?
She's
JK. She's a good sport. I told her I was already prepared her for that question. I'm like, I just want you to know this is going to be hard hitting.
She was a great energy. I loved her energy.
She is in Florida now too.
Oh, nice.
Is
She
she?
escaped from New
Florida's
Jersey.
heavy with y'all. I'm like,
Mm,
I'm telling you,
there.
The
Florida
children
just-
of Atlantis.
we're back to the motherland, Israel. Right? This is supposed to be
Yeah.
who's right?
The
Let's
promised
decide
land.
this tonight. Who's right? Who's wrong?
with what?
Tonight
Just
we're
the
not
whole
getting off
thing.
until we decide
Yeah.
what is truth.
Okay, let's dive in.
I'm gonna cut my hair for another episode. I'm gonna cut it all off except these tendrils.
Ay.
Who runs the world?
You still want to get banned, huh?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
toying.
right.
Just
That'll be a
toying
different
with it.
episode. That'll be a
Just
different
toying with it.
episode.
Was Mary Jewish or no?
Hebrew.
She was she or was she something else?
Yeah, because she's like they do her whole bloodline. Well, they don't really do her bloodline. They do Joseph's bloodline, but
Yeah.
she's of one of the tribes of Israel as well. So
Okay. What does that even mean? The tribes of
Yeah, I was
Israel?
gonna. It wasn't Israel.
So
though.
okay, so there was 12 children. Okay, there was Abraham. Abraham had Isaac. Abraham begat Isaac.
Sing the song,
Father
Father
Abraham?
Abraham.
Okay, so Isaac was renamed. I think it was Isaac. He was renamed Israel by God. And when he renamed him Israel, he had one wife and he had like 10 kids with her. But he was in love with the sister wife or whatever, and finally had a kid with her. You know, there was 12 of them. Joseph was the one that took him into Egypt. So this is where the whole, story mythologies kind of mix. And they're like, well, did the story of Immaculate Conception come from Egypt? And did they steal it from the whole idea of Isis? Or did the Hebrews have an influence on the Egyptian culture because the Hebrews were there because of Joseph? Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers who were jealous because he was the favorite son because he's born of the favorite wife. So the 12 sons, the 12 tribes of Israel, they all come from the 12 sons of Israel, which was Isaac.
Okay. So supposedly Adam and Eve were the first people, but then you have Isis, you have Enki and Enlil, you have all these characters beforehand, but they claim that Adam and Eve were the first. Like,
Enki and Enlil weren't people.
or what were they?
They were
They were
Nephilim,
gods.
right?
Nephilim?
Yeah, Nephilim.
Yeah, but aren't the dates the same? Like as Jesus and all of that? Aren't they all the same dates and the same time period and the same stories of the same thing? And we're kind of seeing that right now, kind of happening in a sense.
Do you feel like Adam and Eve were possibly just a DNA experiment? Because we know they weren't the only people.
I mean, they took clay, and this clay supposedly exists in Petra. And if you look back in Petra, like I said, it's all petrified stuff.
Yeah.
There's a specific clay that is so, it's like a miracle clay. There's all the elements that make up of a human, I guess it's elements 30 or 60 something, or I forgot what the number is, or 80 something. Anyway, it's all in that mud. Maybe it is a project. Maybe they figured something out with the mud. I don't know. But how do you make a human out of mud?
That would be a question for one.
Was there a worm in there that in the mud and they created something accidentally out of the mud and they said it was human and it was actually a worm?
Could the
worm-
mud
a
have
worm
just
could be
been like
anything.
nanobots?
Oh, it could be that. Huh?
Because we talk
Yeah,
about like,
going back to the
black goo and I think
whole,
of, like,
we're not,
Prometheus and all that.
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah,
Primal
like
ooze.
Mm-hmm.
and even just going back to the whole idea that primitive man wasn't primitive, we just think that they were. Maybe they were way more technologically advanced.
They were. I believe that. And our versions of technology are just different materials that they've used back in the day. We call them more modern. I think it's just more backwards, farther away from like actual matter. You know,
Someone
not
said
actual matter, but unchanged matter, the natural state.
in the comments, someone said either more people or incest, but there's a part where it says that they went to the village. Adam and Eve went to a village. If there was a village, there was other people. They weren't their children, which they had many children other than Cain, Abel, and Seth. There were girls too. A lot of them. They don't mention any of them.
What's truth, man? What is it, bro? I don't know.
That's a Pontius Pilate quote, too.
Huh?
That's Pontius Pilate's.
Where did
Well,
Thomas
what is
go?
truth?
What is truth? Yeah.
Pontius Pilate.
Pontius Pilate, was that a native?
He was Roman.
Oh yeah, he was the guy who killed
his
Jesus, right?
Yeah.
He washed his hands.
He washed his hands of it.
Did Jesus really die? Because apparently there was a twin. And
Brian? Are we talking about Brian right now?
What is wrong with paranoid American sound? No.
yeah, there's a sound issue.
Really?
Paranoid American.
Did it just start? What's going on?
I know,
I
but
don't
it
know.
might be actual your camera froze a little too, so it could be a full
Latency thing.
internet
Mhm.
thing for a minute.
Yeah.
Because we are in
Like
Florida.
lagging
And
a
we had
little.
like a tropical storm go through this week.
But also a lot of people were talking about like weird situations of like their systems not working and shit like that. Prepare for blackouts, guys. It's coming.
Do you think 10 Days of Darkness is coming, Mary? Is that what you're telling us?
It's coming. It's coming, baby. Be prepared, y'all. It's not done by God. Stop saying that everything that bad happens, God does it. Maybe we do it.
That's exactly okay. That ended up being my last straw with the church. It was that I started realizing how much we get in our own way. And then you go to church and everybody's like, oh, the devil is just tempting me. And, the devil's doing this and doing that. And I'm like, no, it's you. It's you. God doesn't have to punish you. You punish yourself. Like you're completely punishing yourself because you're feeling guilty and you're fucking won't let it go. So, like attracts like, you're going to pull that right up to you. And I just got tired of the whole victim mentality of it all.
Yeah.
It's victim mentality. And, how about take ownership over the shit you do wrong?
Thank you.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You're fucking human. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
And notice they're not called Mr. Takes. They're called mistakes.
Fucking dogging women again, damn it.
I'm going to start calling them Mr. Takes. We all make Mr. Takes. That's so stupid. Oh, that's the shit.
Hit or miss.
Hit or miss. There was the Mary had a steamboat. Do you guys remember that? Like Mary had a steamboat. The steamboat had a bell. Miss Mary went to heaven.
Oh,
the steamboat went to hello operator. Please. Yeah, like it was all like one of those weird.
and if you disconnect me,
I'll chop off. You're behind the refrigerator. There was a piece of glass.
oh, I thought it was Miss Sue. Miss Susie sat up on it and broke her big fat ask me no more questions.
And tell me no more lies. The girls are in the bathrooms.
Zipping up their flies.
Zipping up their flies are in the meadow. The bees are in the field. The boys or girls are kissing. Like, oh my gosh. Those things are in our brains like our childhood phone numbers. And you boys don't know any of these, do you? This is something that happens in the girl world. Like
I remember hearing him.
I've
Like,
heard
my
of these.
sisters do stuff.
I heard it
cackling.
on the bus enough
But
times that
I've heard
known
them.
There's so many of these. There's
And
one
then
with
there's the jump rope ones too. Yeah. the
look
jump
at we
rope.
both started to like we're double dutch.
Jump rope
And we
was the
probably
shit.
had the right thing too that Layla
Yeah.
could have jumped in.
Yep.
Jump rope is if we all double dutch, we'd be in such good shape.
I know. I could never double dutch. I could just jump rope.
You just look down. Once you get the rhythm down, you can
It
hear
was
those
jumping
things.
in. I couldn't jump into it.
You just have to jump in the opposite of the beat. You'd have it. You just play yourself like an instrument, and you
I was
can't sing
good
when
at
they're
that.
singing.
I was good at double dutch.
They say like, but I just think I'm from the South. But white people usually weren't good at double dutch, but
There-
Southern girls were all good at double dutch.
There was this other game that girls used to play. They used to have a rope. Two girls would stand on this side, two girls on this side. Well, a girl on this side, a girl on
Chinese
this side.
jump rope.
Yeah, Chinese jump rope.
I love that one.
Think of that Chinese jump rope. Think of how you're not like, because you jump out and you have to jump in and catch it with your legs. Like you're
Mhm.
jumping the rope different than how we did.
Yeah.
Do you remember taking the Chinese jump rope and doing the little like Jacob's
Hand one?
ladder and doing like the witch's broom and stuff like that?
The hand.
Guys do that with puppetry of the penis now.
Yes, they do. They make burgers.
Girls
they make burgers out of their thingies.
Wow.
Thing to
That's some
thing.
talent.
I
I
got
would
the
if I were
luxury
a
of
dude.
I
I'd
would
have fun
do
with
so
my
much
thing.
stuff. You'd
Hell
walk
yeah.
into the
It's your,
room and
like,
I would be
Nathan's boy,
standing
right?
and I'd be like, look, Layla, sailboat.
If I had a third arm, dude, for real. I'd be swinging
Chomp.
along.
I'd be like, the helicopter seems like it hurts. Like, see, I just automatically imagine that I would be like swinging like this thing around, like,
I have a
"Ah."
question for men.
That would be so painful. I'd probably have a black eye.
Does sex ever hurt for men ever? Like, do you have moments during sex where it can hurt besides like a bad blowjob? I've never asked this question, but I'm curious. I just
Yeah, I
can't-
mean, there's like certain angles or durations that can just like hurt. It'll just be like, twisting an ankle essentially.
like the thing would hurt, like
makes
nothing
sense.
internal, like, or is it nerves, or is it just like the thing itself?
No, I won't think internal. I mean,
Okay.
isn't it all internal? I guess
Well,
all
yeah.
nerves are internal.
Yeah, but yeah.
Does it ever hurt?
We
Stomach
do
is
the
really
hurting.
nice.
We don't get hurt.
Nothing
We
hurts
do the
me.
fucking-
It always hurts. That's the secret. It always hurts. When does it not hurt?
Hurts so good. Come on, baby, make it hurt so
If it doesn't
good.
hurt, you're doing it wrong.
It was the best hurt.
It was the greatest hurt. It was the worst hurt. I
It was-
loved it. I hated it. It's everything.
What's the other thing? Beauty is pain.
I don't know who
Pain
this
is pain?
character is, but it was
I like it.
It
It
was
seems
fun.
like I would hire him to be my manager in Hollywood.
Hey, listen, you guys, this is gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful.
I'm getting some
We're gonna have
Tom
fancy
Waits
girls.
energy right now.
It is a little kind of Tom Waity.
Like it blends into like Professor Frank. Like living.
That also could be not what's that guy that was Dean with Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis.
Lewis, yeah, Jerry Lewis.
Oh,
That's who
he was
Professor
the
Frank is.
worst.
yeah.
Even
Jerry Lewis. Apparently, he was an asshole.
I couldn't stand him so much as a child. I must have known he was an asshole as a young
Yeah,
child
he probably
that
had that.
I felt like karmically he only did that Jerry Lewis Foundation shit just because he was such a dick.
Yeah, it's probably just to get it off his guilty conscience for being an asshole to everybody else in his life. Yeah.
Anyone that gets that much love from French people is probably evil deep down.
Probably psycho. Hey, they loved Miles Davis, man. They love Miles over there. He was a good cat.
Why do
I love
humans
Rich.
wear clothes and animals don't? Why?
Because our
For
hair
real.
doesn't grow that thick. Because we're not hairy Marys.
Yeah,
Is
but
it-
we're
yeah, we're not
born
Harry
that
Mary.
way.
We're not Harry
We're not
Mary.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, but guys, listen. We're all
Squatches.
nature, right? And nature, if you see it, they don't pray. They don't do certain things that humans do. If you kind of look at it,
Yeah, they do.
do they? They
Yeah.
meditate
They
in their own way.
They're in
But they
they're in
don't-
consciousness the whole time.
Yeah, but they don't do it like us, go en masse and like
They don't need to.
pray a direction and like do these hand gestures.
Plants do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Plants pray toward the sun every
Mhm.
second of the day. They even move toward it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like in the sense that we do it. Like we go like okay, Muslims they point towards Mecca, okay?
Uh-huh.
And they're doing these whole things and then you have the Jewish people who are towards a wall and then you have people who go into a church and like talk to the pastor in front of them, you know? So it's like humans do things so different from nature. Nature doesn't wear clothing. Yes, some of them have fur and all this stuff, but like we are nature, we clothe ourselves. Yes, and for certain situations to protect ourselves from weather conditions, but is there something that wrong with that? Like we put shame like behind it because in tribes women are like half naked and they don't look at them as sexual objects. They look at it as a natural thing. Titties out, vaginas out, balls out, ass out, like walking like it's normal. And it's totally fine and not shamed at. But here in our today's society, I guess to sell clothing and fashions and all look the
But
same.
all tribes aren't naked.
No, not all, but you know, if you go down in certain areas,
But
like
where it's hot.
Have
in
you ever
the
worn a dress in a really humid area though? Like I hate it.
But
Your
if you
thighs
look
are
at
just
how
like sweaty
Florida
and
just
slide together. It's gross.
like Floridians dress so different than girls in Montana because the weather's different. And then I feel like if you look like even our shoes are different. Like you wouldn't wear flip-flops anywhere else, but you'd wear them where it's warmer out. And so some of our things like you would cover your face like we do because the sun and the wind would be so much or the sand would belt against us. So if we put on something like this, if I was walking through a desert, the sand wouldn't affect me as much. So I just think there's elements that exist that aren't necessarily shame oriented that could, or it could be adornment. Like we could have all been walking around in our naked flesh, but then I could have like sewn together flowers for you to put around your hair. And then somebody else could have been like, look at these, this awesome belt I made out of an animal flesh. And so I think it could have been, things that it would have been like a kill or a love interest.
It could have been
Or
practical too, because like a lot of let's say like don't eat pork and a number of other things. It might have just been because that was a way of self-preservation because of trichinosis and like other issues that you like would have actually had. So maybe early on it was like you have to wear clothes because if you got into a fight or if you're going through thick brush, right, you don't want to get cut up. So at a certain point, it was like if you didn't wear clothes, then you would get shamed because people understand shame more than they understand logic. So it was just like, just keep shaming people into wearing clothes. Now, why that applies to one gender more than the other, I don't really know.
I don't know. I think about it as like our energy and our aura that we know we have. Maybe I'm just looking at it different. Maybe I guess the type of clothing matters, probably from what it's made, maybe to increase your aura usage or to use your energy. But I don't know. There's just something that we're so different from nature, but we call ourselves nature, but we're just different. It's just different. We're nothing like nature in a sense. How they act and how, well, or we know that we should be acting like nature, but we're doing the reverse.
I think there's all sorts of animals that adorn things.
Mhm.
Like you can look at their nests and you can look at different animals will beautify themselves and different
Yeah.
animals will like also throughout the animal kingdom. And then other ways I think that in the same ways we would look at the animals, like we would hunt like them. If you would hunt alone, you would learn from a tiger. And if you would hunt in a pack, you would learn from wolves. And maybe we'd learn even birthing from them. We would learn little techniques of how quickly they got the placenta off their baby, or if they cut an umbilical cord, we would watch them for so many things. So even maybe like we would see a peacock or see a tiger or see a jaguar or see a lion, we would see an animal and what it represented and whether it was strength or beauty or what have you. And then we would want to put that on. as like an honoring, or like, look at that lion, this guy must be fierce too, look at that buffalo leads the pack, let's put it on our leader, so because he's our wise buffalo, he never leads us
You know
astray.
what? You actually put a thought into my head. We probably do act like animals because a lot of what we wear is inspired by them. Certain designs are inspired by them to look like a peacock, like the colors of a peacock, or whatever it may be. So I kind of
Leopard print.
see it, yeah, in a different,
Like we want to be
different
like
light.
them more, maybe.
Yeah,
And
probably.
we miss our animalness sometimes. That's
Yeah,
probably why we listen to people like
put
want
furs
to,
on.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and sometimes in cultures, like I've looked at even like full hijabs, or like where I've looked at it like, oh, that woman has no say so and none this and none that. But then I've also in my head of modesty and how, like, if you see a woman dressed up all day, like, and she's covered and from her wrist to her ankles, then what she gives you when she gets home is yours. And that is something so special. It's like when you see a little bit of cleavage on your wife, when you see a slit in a, dress of somebody that you're like sexually attracted to, and she's covered all the way up, and the whole night you're watching her and she's classy AF and she crosses her legs and then her thigh comes out a little bit, you're like, oh, it's like sometimes covering it all up makes the little more sexy. Where if we were walking around, like you're saying, in the African bush, like their tits are out and no one thinks they're sexy, that's good and bad, maybe.
Yeah, I kind of make this argument in our culture too, because cover up, it's Muslims, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't go by that. Thank you very much. But I see it as like being a lure for that particular man who's attracted to the secrecy or the mystery behind things, because there are men who are like really intrigued by mystery and they want to know, and it becomes like a crazy fucking obsession at a point where they have different things that attracts men to certain things that is just crazy. I want to know something seriously. And I asked this question because,
Uh-oh.
yeah, not to hate on men,
Buckle
man.
up, you guys.
Not to hate on men, but
It's
there's
going to be a perfect
something
question.
within the man, not all
Okay.
men, but the way that some of these men are and their conviction of that, yes, we like this because we like this, da 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 da. Is there something like with the rape culture and the wanting to control and wanting things and to take things over and take that virginity and that's pure and ba-da-da-da-da. Like, is there something in some of these men that is uncontrollable that they just can't harness? Because women don't have that urgency. If they see something naked, they're not going to just jump their bones. Not the majority of women are not like that unless it's the situation that calls for it, like if they're in that situation that calls for it, hell yeah, we're all in. But if it's just like a random person just walking down the street naked, we're not going to rape them, so it's like, what is it in men?
Wait, what? Why not?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
At what point is
I
she asking
wonder.
for it?
So it's like, what is this thing that in men they have like these weird things where they rape, they like young boys or girls, or they like fucking corpses.
Sheeps.
It's just like this thing that some men have that's just like, what is it? Why can't you control it? Why can't you change? Because it's like dangerous. Like you could, like you say, oh, women don't, women need protection. Women need protection. Women need protection from what? From men? Why?
I'm
So
gonna
like
ask a
men,
real
I would
question.
flip that and say it might not be as much men, but just as much like the society we live in rewards that behavior more than it rewards suppressing that behavior.
I like putting it that way. Yes. So why do they do that? Or maybe it's just to like destroy the women and men at the same time.
I mean, in a crass and simple way, it's like a game of make it take it, I think. And it's like if we can keep making it, that we can keep taking it. And I think that part of it just, I don't even know if there's like a cabal that's getting together and like, let's suppress women. I think it was just like a natural evolution, and it's like, let's keep this train going, and by keeping this train going, keep everyone else down.
How long has it been, man? This is a long ass train ride. Fucking A. God damn. But anyway, I'm just asking the question because it's some weird shit. And women too. There's some crazy ass women out there like Hillary Clinton who just like likes to peel the faces off beings and eat pineal glands.
What?
Like, so there's women like that.
Did we just lose our HelloFresh sponsorship?
There's no rails here.
Oh my god.
I'm in.
Great.
I'm like, I'm trying to put I just went and I got a brand new sativa vape cartridge just for this part of the conversation, Layla. I couldn't fully focus on the rape culture, and now I'm in.
We're all in.
Hillary Clinton. Hilton, excuse me.
Hilarious.
And I'm like, oh, rape culture to Hillary Clinton. There's crazy women out there.
Yeah. Her and Huma Abedin.
That's when Gordy has to leave. You said Hillary's name one too many times, and that's worse than Bloody Mary.
I was just gonna say.
Can you imagine if you said Hillary Clinton's name 3 times in a mirror?
I'm sitting in front of a mirror right now. Should I try it?
And then all of a sudden she shows up behind you. And you're
No,
like,
don't do that.
Crooked Hillary.
And that if we were to say that we're in Florida, and if she shows up and she's in my house, then this is Castle Doctrine territory, is it not?
Oh yeah, it's
It's
you're allowed to don't ask, don't tell in Florida. Or wait, not don't ask, don't tell. What's it called? Stand your ground. Yeah. It's not stop, drop, and roll. What's it called? Don't ask, don't tell. No, not that. What? What rule is it?
Don't ask, don't tell. No.
That's the old military policy on gays.
I know. I also think it's crazy too. The rape culture that we grew up in, I don't necessarily think it's there anymore as much for women because I just think that so many men are not the same fucking dudes. They're all so bitchy. Like they're also like their purple hair. They're like my pronouns, them,
too
they.
beta to rape.
Yeah, they're just not even into women. It doesn't seem like anymore. It just seems like, like I'll just jerk off and, go on TikTok and change my, be like my pronouns, he, him, even if they have to mention my pronouns, anything. Like it's just a whole different type of dude, and not that like alpha males rape or males rape, but I just don't even think there's a sex drive for men anymore the same way it was for us growing up. I feel like men have somehow, like we were all talking about breaking the matrix, but I feel like somewhere men have been broken.
Circumcision.
But I don't think it's just that. It's like, to me, our society, the more it leans toward technology, the further it falls away from masculinity.
Well, the studies have shown that it does bring the sex drive down, cutting the tip of the foreskin off. It's because there's a lot of nerve endings, especially, it's just slipping around there and it's nice and lubricated. So
but I feel like my generation is doing it less and less. Like most of us, I'm not saying most, but I know that over 50% of people are not circumcising anymore.
Yeah, like during the whole Zeus time, like they weren't circumcising. Everyone was just, snails.
Is circumcision a feminization of, is it trying to make a clitoris out of a penis? Like, I really think this is some kind of ritual that they're doing to men at the beginning, and it's a feminization somewhere.
Well,
It's like
so
trauma
I've
for
heard this
sure.
described as the opposite, that when when they do the circumcision, what they're really doing is they're removing the circle from the male, and the circle represents the feminine entity, and that means that when you find your partner again later on and you get married, putting that ring on the finger, on your finger, I mean, you're literally taking the circle, the feminine circle that was removed from birth, and putting it back onto your appendage, and that's showing
Mm.
that reunification with the feminine. So in that interpretation, the circumcision's actually removing the feminine aspect from the male just so that it can be added back later.
If God wanted you like that, wouldn't he like create you like that?
No, but there's like, I actually think the way the clitoris looks, it's there. It's like if there was something like the female orgasm and they wanted to experience that, the way that the clitoris looks, a circumcised penis is a mocking of, or a trying to example the
Yeah.
same thing. A penis does not look anything like a clit,
Especially if it's a micro penis.
but
Have you seen it?
a micro penis. Actually, this is what I will say. I will say it and say it again. There's a lot of
Whoa.
women out there that have hooked up with dudes that they think is a micro penis, and it's actually a super clit, because all the trans men in the world have just disappeared into your straight culture and no one even knows about them. They're not debating on them using the bathroom and no one even says a thing. All the trans women in the world are what we all talk about all the time.
Mm.
But the trans men all disappeared. They're not part of the LGBTQ movement anymore. There's a couple weird ones on TikTok, but I know more trans men that most people would never guess, and they're just men now.
Women.
They don't want to play in transition world for the rest of their life. They are transitioned with an ED, and
Mhm.
now they consider themselves the other thing.
Interesting.
It's so crazy, but
This
it's
realm
like,
is bizarre.
dude, and some of them have taken testosterone since they were like 13 years old, and now they're like 30 years old. And so they have a clit that is as the size of anything that with women that they think is a micro penis. And so, and I've heard a lot of things too where they'll be like, oh my gosh, I hooked up with this guy and he had the smallest dick I ever hooked up with and he was the best in bed. And I'm like,
I've seen some weird
probably it was a lesbian once, but now it's a
shit.
trans
Maybe
man.
it's TMI, but like they have even contraptions where you can like enlarge a woman's area, like quadruple their size, like swole like crazy. There's even stuff like that. There's crazy shit out there.
It's like the Kendall Jenner phase when they were putting all their lips in the glass
Yeah,
and
like that.
sucking, and then being
It's like a
like,
penis pump for women. John Bobbitt had to use one of those to get his penis hard.
Crazy.
We're on a weird
that's
tangent
weird.
right now,
Yeah.
but I feel like I've
This is
got an
kinda weird.
appropriate anecdote that I came across this week. So I've been working
didn't
on
think-
putting together like this little, either like a Hillary Clinton or like a homunculus, like a little toy packet. Like, long story short, I was looking for fake blood capsules in bulk to like get from China or whatever. So I'm on like Alibaba or AliExpress and I'm looking for blood capsules. There's so many different versions of them, right? And I came across like a whole page, and the only reason I noticed it is because the prices were way lower than all the other blood capsules, like the ones that you put in your mouth. And I noticed though, and they were called hymen capsules. And I look into this more and more, and apparently there is a huge market in Alibaba, and specifically in the East, where women will take these little blood capsules that are like coated in like a gelatin, and they'll insert them in order to make it look like, oh, the hymen just broke.
Virginity.
And on the Alibaba page, as I'm scrolling down, and like I'm basically trying to figure out, like, could you put this in your mouth? Is it toxic? Is it only for like non-mouth? And it says right in there, it's like, pretend like you're in pain, turn the light off. And then it said that these are also known as a Chinese hymen. And apparently this is such a big thing that that the product of a Chinese hymen really just means like pretending like you're a perpetual maiden. You're this, like you're Lilith all over again.
Yeah, in cultures such as mine, this is probably have done many times before.
Well, like they sell them in bulk, so it was almost as if like,
Oh,
if you're on
wow.
the market, you've got like, a drawer full of these things, so that whenever time arises, it's like, oh, it was my first time every time.
And make money off of it too. Virgin. Oh, big price for a virgin.
Anyways,
I
yeah, Chinese
really-
hymen. I never heard that before today. So
That's insane.
I really just have to think that virgin's blood has to do with more than just breaking a hymen. And there has to be some example of it for men as well. That has nothing to do with their penis going into a vagina, because how would you ever know? They have no example of a hymen breaking on them.
I think probably virgin's blood is that talk of like the 7-year mark where they say you're an angel till you're like 7 years old. And that's when the actual hormones of changing you into a man start. And same for a female, like the eggs and like your period could start like around 7, 8 years old. So that could probably be it. Virgin's blood, like before like that creation of to create, you know?
Well,
and
a
around
boy
7, I think that's when.
uncircumcised.
Well, it's when your body starts producing its own like marrow or riboflavin in the marrow. I don't know. I can't remember the exact portion of it, but like once you turn a very specific age, you start producing everything that your body needs. But before then, you're working off a reserve that was given to you by your mother.
Yeah.
The whole so like the male of it all, like a uncircumcised male, they don't have a hymen and they don't bleed, but their foreskin isn't retractable when they're born, and it's not retractable. It eventually does it on its own by the time they're 5. So people will make it sound like it's like, oh, it's so hard to keep clean. It's like, no, it's really not hard to keep clean because it's sealed. So they're sealed too.
Interesting. I'm telling you. I think it's the 7. 7. The 7. 7. Friends. That scene, every time I hear 7,
What?
that scene in Friends
Yeah.
where she keeps repeating 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Like
I think all 7 and we'll watch them fall. Stand in the way of love and we will smoke them all with an intellect. You know, Prince.
I love Prince. I love that song.
That was so wrong. I took for granted how close I was to Prince. And I was like, I'll see him next time he comes in town, because he was just in town all the time. And so it was like, and then he was dead.
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. Any other Marys?
Mary, quite contrary. I have no idea. March.
Mar.
March Madness. The March Hare is mad too.
Pisces, fish, Jesus, Mary.
Mario Mars.
Mario, portals, Pisces.
How is Mars the god of war and also Mars? Like, isn't that weird one?
Yeah. Shouldn't it be water, Mar?
Yeah, that's what every time
Marine
when
of it
Elon's
all.
like, we're going to get to Mars. We're going to get to Mars. For some reason, I feel like if there was an evil entity, an evil they can't go in the ocean. And so like them wanting to get to Mars is really just getting to the sea somehow.
Well, maybe that's what this project with these rockets are, and all these names, and
Arc.
Elon, and trying to penetrate with a shaft or a thing
Yeah.
that looks like.
Layla, do you do this on purpose?
I mean,
she's like, Layla's always like,
Shaft
Yeah.
and
it's her
she
dick
did
joke. Another
it
dick
wants
joke.
to penetrate, I guess the
the firm. They
placenta?
want to get firm into the mint. Like,
the water.
It
I don't
would
know.
make sense that it's the ultimate sort of game of distraction, right? If you send stuff out into space, but the whole time you're really interested in like deep sea.
The deep water, yeah.
Well, that's where they
Absolutely.
practice in big pools of water, and their suits are like water suits. In these like missions that they practice in pools, usually in pools. There's a whole, I think, in Disney, participates in, or I forgot which company. It's 2:00, right? No, 3:00. I can't think right now. Well, I can never think really.
any Marys in Disney?
There's got to be.
Yeah,
I
that
know.
has
I'm
to
trying to
be.
think.
I thought of Ursula, like, like the sea witch and the little mermaid.
Mermaid.
Yeah.
She's Mer. You have like
There's not a lot of Marys in
No.
Disney movies. You've got
Interesting.
Mary Poppins is the biggest one, and then
Yeah.
Marie, from what's the stupid cat movie? Well, the cat
Aristocats?
aristocrats.
Aristocats, and Mary Sanderson from Hocus Pocus, right?
Sanderson sisters, yeah.
Mary Sanderson.
Thank you.
It's just something about Mary, man.
What about something about Mary with Cameron D? No relation to John D.
Well,
D.
that scene is iconic for a reason. The whole sperm and the hair on Mary. Like, that has to be some kind of weird occult.
Sperm on Harry Mary.
Harry Mary. Holy mother effing shit.
I like how you say Holy Mother.
Holy Mother. I
Yeah,
know.
that's- Holy me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there is something about Mary. There's so many Marys in movies.
She was chosen, bro. Like, come on. Like, you can't overlook that. And everybody overlooks it. And then, oh, Jesus, yeah. But, like, who brought him into this world? Hello. Do you, like, forget your moms, too?
Do you think
Guys?
there is a form of husbandry that you could tell what your animal was pregnant with, a guy or a girl? Do you think,
My dad has this gift of doing it.
like, for real? I think this is my new philosophy too. Why would you ever bring two animals on the ark, two by two, a male and a female, if you could guarantee, if you had two females that were pregnant with males?
My dad can look at like how he found out what the sex of my brother's future baby that's coming in.
Oh, 100% I can with people. 100% of the time I've never been wrong.
Yeah.
But for animals, because when I even think like where you're like, okay, you couldn't guarantee that the sex of the animal would be a male, but you couldn't guarantee that just because you picked any two animals that they would even have sex or procreate.
But then how many animals, like a cat, like have multiples? So you wouldn't even need two
Ding, ding.
cats. You just put one
You
pregnant
just
cat.
need one pregnant
One
cat.
pregnant dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some animals, like one bird, you'd have a couple of eggs.
Yeah.
You just need eggs. You don't even need to bring a chicken or a rooster. You'll just bring a bunch of eggs. And
My
some of them
dad-
you'll just have them fertilized egg.
He says he'll look at the husband always to tell whether it's a male or a female. If the husband looks more like prettier, like looks more pretty during the pregnancy, it's usually a boy. And if the female looks more prettier during the pregnancy and the man is just like looking like slumpy, it's usually a girl, the other way around.
I always think in my head,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell that 100% of the time right away when I first look at her, I can tell she's having a boy because all of her looks the same, except all of a sudden she turns to the side and you're like, holy shit, you have a belly.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else looks the same.
Yeah.
But when they're pregnant with a lady or with a girl, they
Beautified.
get pregnant in their arms, they get pregnant in their belly, they get pregnant in their ass, they get pregnant in their thighs, they get pregnant in their nose, they get pregnant in their cheeks, and they just get pregnant everywhere. And I'm like, holy shit, you don't even look the same. Like you look like a whole different. I don't think it's beauty. I always
Really?
tell my lady friends when they're pregnant with a girl, I tell them, your nose will go back to normal. And they always say, oh my God, thank you for saying that. No, everybody else, I keep asking, does my nose look weird? And they all keep telling me it looks normal. And I'm like, it doesn't. It does not look normal right now. It looks like it's pregnant with another nose.
I wonder why that theory works for him, because he's always been accurate. Always. Like, because they call him Lucky. Lucky, what is it going to be? And he looks at the husband. Oh, it's going to be this or that. And he's like, okay. And then it happens. Yeah, I don't know.
They get juicier with females. That's what I'd say.
Probably.
Well, and it
Juicier.
might not be predicting or like telling what it is, because I knew I read this before. I So there was a study that was published in the 70s, but they've still been doing it up until recently. But the study's basically that there's some mammals that they can show that the mothers have some sort of physiological way of influencing the sex of their offspring. So it's not like they know, oh, this is going to be a boy or this is going to be a girl. There's some kind of inherent instinctual, like, I need to have a boy or I need to have a girl because of these environmental conditions. And they can actually start steering it and turn it into that gender through the gestation period, which is a wild concept that they only started looking into like a few decades ago.
That my sister swore she was only going to have girls, and she has 5 daughters.
That's what I would want.
And she just swore, she's like, I don't even know what I do with a boy. I just feel like they stink, and they're like, her house is all in its order all the time, and everything is all in its place always. And she's just like, I don't even know. And like her daughters are like, I'm like, oh my gosh, those are all your daughters. Like, it's wild. And so I'm just like, I can't imagine if you had a boy. Like, I don't even know what she'd do with a little boy.
I grew up with boys. I've raised so many boys. I mean, my cousins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of them have like 4 and 5 sets of boys and like 1 girl. Like all boys, surrounded my boys everywhere. Just like, I want girls. Tired of you boys. I want girls. That's all I raised were boys. But I could raise a boy. I'm good at it. My brother's great.
I could help with either.
Yeah.
But I just want to have daddy energy. I'm like stepdaddy energy. Like, let's go play catch. I'll take you to Disney.
Yeah.
Tell you some things occasionally and talk in this exact voice.
I'll spend my money on you guys. It's all good.
I don't want to have a like separate voice that I talk to you in. And I don't want to hold the baby until it can hold its own neck. Like,
I like newborns.
I don't want
Make you
to.
nervous.
I feel like I'm
Kids
holding
make
2
nervous.
babies at once, and they're attached by a
newborns.
slinky. I have a baby head and a baby body, and they're attached by this thing. And then they'll tell you like, oh, the soft spot in its head, and it's next week, and it can't even see yet out of its eyes. I'm like,
Makes you
why don't you
nervous.
just keep holding it?
If I could have a baby that could never grow and stay a newborn baby forever, then I'd have a baby.
I never had dolls.
That's why I have them in the dream state. I swear, I've always got a dream baby.
Just want like little babies. I love little babies.
Me too.
I feel like
think that's
babies
2 or
are just a
3.
liability.
Like,
Like
that's
you could
a
go to
little
jail
annoying.
at any point for just like doing
Sneezing.
something wrong, like
Like breaking
tripping and
your-
falling or
The
forgetting.
same thing as
or-
breaking your hymen, you could accidentally go to jail for hurting your baby. Like you could just be on a horse or sneeze or be jogging. Like those are all things that, and when we were all young, all of our parents would have gone right to like jail for probably child abuse.
Who was even in a car seat?
Yeah, for
What was
sure.
a car seat?
I would CPS.
I
loved me
had to
as a
sit in the
child.
back seat, or my parents could just backhand me right over the seat, and it wasn't even.
Mhm.
They wouldn't even lose a lane of cars. They would just be smoking cigarettes and just.
We'd be
Whack.
jumping all
Oh,
over the
shit.
back seat, you know,
Yeah.
rolling on the floor.
And the worst thing you'd hear in my car driving with my parents was wait until we get there. And then we'd try to sit and be quiet, thinking they were going to get dementia and forget that we were acting
Yeah.
like little heathens in the back seat beforehand. But there was a consequence always to pay. Like once
was
it
a little
happened.
Always.
I would stay up with the adults. Like I would make a fuss. Like I would want to stay up all night, listening to everything that they would say. I was like just a curious fucking child, man. I wanted to know
You were
everything
nosy.
about everything. I was like Wonder Woman, wondering about everything. I
That
swear.
should have been her name, Wonder Woman. She's just
Wonder
sitting there like,
Huh? What are they talking about? What? Oh, interesting. I learned
Wonder
a lot
Woman.
as a child.
Wonder Woman is just a spy. She's just a thinker, listener.
swear.
She's just wondering.
I wonder.
I do that a lot.
I wonder.
That is a magic, though.
Hmm?
When you think about it, I
It is.
wonder. I wonder.
I wonder.
Observation is also an act of creation.
Yeah.
Do you have
like
any
the what
other
if.
Marys to throw in
Oh, I
before
don't know.
we say goodbye, or do you have anything else to add? Did you guys do anything fun this week that you want to promote or shout out?
Yes. Guns. I went to a gun range. Go. If you're afraid, just go and shoot that first shot. Oh, just
Was this your
go.
first time?
No. It's been a long time though. And I started off with a AR-15. I was like, oh my God, that thing is fucking loud. It's a beast. It was like some special AR-15 without that nozzle so you could feel the power more. I was like, oh yeah, I want that. I could have chosen the AK-47 to practice with, but nah. I was like, let me go easy, you know? And they're like, easy? You'd think the AK, the whatever, what did I just say?
Yeah.
The AR-15 is easy. I'm like, I don't know. So I took it. First shot scared the fuck out of me. Second one, loved it. And I just went on and on and on. And the pistol as well. Do it, guys. Do it. It's so much fun. I'm making it a hobby and I'm going to buy guns and lots of them.
Welcome to Florida.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I love it.
That's what we like to hear. We like to hear good Americans moving to the state and buying themselves some weapons because your local militia needs you.
Just keep buying
And
them
it-
until you run out of space.
Yeah, and if your neighbors don't want them, instead of debate them, just buy them one and keep it clean. Always I think the best gun philosophy I ever heard. Don't
I will
debate people
tell you,
about
though,
guns. Just buy them one and keep it clean and you're safe.
the vibration of shooting guns did make me nauseous after a while. Like I guess the force of it after 2 hours, it just it's a lot.
It's like
2
sitting up
hours,
against
yeah,
the
that's-
speaker.
Wow, that's a
Dude, I
lot.
wanted to
2
go
hours, that
more,
is a
but like I
lot.
couldn't take it. Like I want to shoot more. It's so fucking fun. Like this, I guess I needed to let something out. It was so great.
I like that you're sitting there like the Virgin Mary talking about how much you
Guns.
love your
Love guns.
And smoking a cigarette and Mary Jane and
And
coffee.
I know this is so our outfits. I'm looking at mine and your outfit just since I took off that other thing, and I'm like, oh, look at we could go to we could sit in a manger.
You guys could,
Yeah, we could.
for sure.
I put this together in like what 5 minutes. Went to
Yeah,
the fabric store.
Like my thing in the manger would just be over you like this,
And
and you would just be like holding the baby like.
or like the
Or
baby.
sitting above him like this with her like.
Oh yeah, you'd be like
Yeah,
this.
you have
No,
to do
I'll
the,
hold baby Jesus homunculus, the version of how he looks very old, and she's holding him like as
Yeah, the
old
little
man.
the
man.
little man
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
That's so creepy.
Yeah.
You should totally on our homunculus episode. You can wear this outfit again.
Yeah,
we
I'll
should
do
figure
it.
out how to do a green screen of like one of us, like have Cheney.
Yeah, oh, yeah, a
small.
green screen
A
on
green
the
screen.
baby's face, and so
baby's
all
face.
day Gordy's on the on the
Baby's-
baby when he's talking. That is fantastic.
That's
Thomas
hilarious.
can figure that out because he's made people come through his window. I've seen it.
It wouldn't be that hard.
We should have one for a Christmas
Christmas?
episode
Oh,
coming
that's
up, and
hilarious.
we could all be sitting in different heads of of something. But that would be so funny if you were holding a baby that was Gordy's head. All
That would.
Baby Jesus smoking a cigar.
it would be so rando.
And me with a joint in my mouth also.
Yeah,
That'd be
right.
great.
Mm.
Mary Jane. Alchemize that entire photo.
Yeah, maybe the next one we have like a little nativity scene or something.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I know it's I'll save it for after air to see what you guys think about next week's topic. I was gonna ask you on air, and then I'm like, oh, that cements me into something I don't know if I want to
wait.
do.
Yeah.
We'll keep so
The surprise.
Thomas, do you have anything coming up or anything else you want to plug?
I mean, the big one is still just chaostwins.com, the book that I've been doing with Sam Tripoli. I think, I mean, if I were to like refresh a page, it's got to be right about $15,000 raised, which is
That's
huge.
awesome.
It's
That is
amazing.
huge, yeah.
That's great.
And
dude.
the next big milestone is going to be to do like a pilot, like a little animated pilot, because really what we want is to take what is a comic book now, but turn it into like an animated series of some kind. So this is the first step, and it's actually within reach now. So that's really badass. And you can see more on chaostwins.com.
Heck yeah, man. Good
How
shit.
cool, man.
Yeah.
Abby, do you have anything coming up this week?
Nope.
How far away are we out from competition and pro card?
20 days.
20 days.
Yeah. So,
And then you're going to go to Texas?
yep, Dallas, Texas, and get to compete with a whole bunch of people, and I don't know, a bunch of good people. Actually, it'll be interesting.
You're gonna win.
I intend to. I don't care if don't win the overall. I just want to win my pro card because then I can compete for money.
If you
Hell
make
yeah.
muscles right now in the shape of your wings, will you pop those gold bands off your arm?
Ding, ding.
Is there smack talking in that industry, like before everyone goes on
yeah,
stage?
that's a great.
They're so respectful. It's blah.
No, but women are catty and they don't say it. You know what I mean? They're just like, but you'll I mean, let's face it. You look at everyone and you're like, dude, I'm better than you. Like, everyone does it. You can't help it. Or like, why is that girl up there? Are you kidding me? But you don't really vocalize it.
Will we get to watch this on a live stream?
It is live streamed, actually.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not
Oh.
free. You gotta pay for it. But
Well, maybe you can find the link for us before,
We'll find the
and we
link.
will drop it at the bottom in the coming shows. So any
Yeah.
of our listeners that want to check it out and support you, and we can talk shit for you to all the other contestants.
All right. You don't even tie-ins.
Yeah, we're all like, oh, and then you can tell us all the exact words. Yeah, we're like, oh, Abby's tie-ins are the best.
That's what my husband was like. He had to ask my best friend at my show. He's like, "What's a tie-in?" She's always talking about that.
What is a tie-in?
It's that shape on Layla's Mary thing that she kept showing over and over again, where she's like, what's this shape that's going into the M? It's like that shape that goes into the leg.
Yeah, it's like the
so-
teardrop that comes down off your glute, like off your butt onto your hamstring, and it like looks like a teardrop. So it's a V shape, yeah. And if it's not there, like they say that my category is wellness, and they say it's one from the back. Like if you don't have that
It goes
hamstring
down
glute tie-in,
like that.
And
There's,
I
like,
don't even
double cross.
I see because of the muscles, I see the absence of where the muscle is. So you can actually see how it goes up and ties in your muscle.
yeah,
Like, because your muscles get so big, you can see what is that? The striation?
yeah, striations.
Aren't
see,
women's backs
learning.
and men's backs different? Like with like the wings, aren't they like different in the back?
Like the
shape and form?
not
That-
really. I mean, no, it just depends on what you work out. Because like even my traps are pretty big. They're not supposed to be big.
They're called angel wings. I think men have.
Yeah,
something
but
that's called
they're
angel wings.
they're your lats, and they are pretty. It just depends on what you're working. My
Okay.
background kind of. I don't work them
I
anymore.
feel like that's my only muscle that's big. Anymore.
That's how you get an hourglass. You get an hourglass by working your back muscles.
Did we have wings ever at one point of humanity's existence? Like beings with wings? Besides angels?
ISIS was.
If we did, it was like a side effect of the whole Nephilim thing.
Huh.
But isn't
Yeah.
it funny how much somebody else, it might have been Abby tonight, that said something about the scales and feathers. And so even if we look at that depiction of Isis, what if those were scales?
Huh,
Like that
yeah.
reptilian. So then you have
Dragon.
all this reptilian
Look, she's
thing
blue
coming.
too. Here. the blue thing again.
Well, also is one of the animals that can give a virgin birth would be a reptile. So if Adam and Eve were some kind of science experiment, but then Mary was a separate science experiment, Adam and Eve might have been mammals, and Mary could have been a reptile if there was all different science experiments going on. And
Chimera
Chimeras.
people. Chimera
There's got to be,
people.
because the whole leprosy of it all, and you brought that to my attention, like the whole
That's what
leprosy being.
Madonna looks like now. She has like a fucking lion face.
They want
She
that
looks like a
lion look.
leper. It's weird.
They want it. All right. And I want to, Gordy, do you have anything coming up this week?
Nope.
And I didn't forget anyone. And I have worked on at projectchaney.com a Secret Society of Good Guys tab, and I'm going to be working at making all of the links so you can click them and it'll get prettier as it goes. But I have the setup there so you can find everyone's link here, and any of the stuff they're doing, you'll be able to find it there. So if you ever forget and you're wondering how to get a hold of Layla or Abby or Gordy or Thomas, you can always go to projectchaney.com and click on the Secret Society of Good Guys, and you can also get some bomb ass merch with our favorite checkerboard on it, because people like to shout us out and shout out our Masonic heritage.
Right.
Shout out.
That happened this week. That was fun.
That was fun.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. So anyway,
Since when did we put women in Masons? Just curious.
I don't know.
well, this is what I was
that?
thinking. What did you say? Put women in Masons?
Well, because that's what he's accusing you of, being a Mason. So I'm like, since
There used to be
accepting-
in the Scottish Rite. There used to be women in the Scottish Rite Masons. But then I also was thinking, because witches are burned at the stake, and we've talked about that even a little tonight with Mary Magdalene, and all the Masons are bad, and we know who runs the world. Who runs the world? And they're good, and you can't say anything about them. So it's like we see this like almost this inversion of every single thing in society, and even us as quote unquote conspiracy theorists, we're under the assumption that we got information that wasn't planted for us there to find, because they kind of have all of our blueprints, because they gave us all our MK Ultra that we all grew up with. So it's just all like, if there were like us, if we were a secret society and we found like there was these certain secrets in the stars maybe, or these certain secrets in words or women or powers that they kept from us, and we realized over and over again, let's say this great reset worked this time and we all went to re-education camps, some of us would escape from those re-education camps, and some of us would go on and tell of the tales that once happened for our people, and some of us they'd catch and they'd send to insane asylums and they'd try to re-educate us again with drugs and other things, but we would just like lose our lineage over time, unless there was a secret society of people that maybe wrote it in stone in certain places so they couldn't just delete it out of everywhere, and they had to hide, otherwise they would be persecuted or had their heads cut off by the church, which we know over and over again is a bad thing, or what, some government overlords, they were burnt at the stake, which we know over and over again is a bad thing. So we just hear about all these things over and over again that they tell us are bad. And I just think it's all an inversion. And I think everybody needs to look again, because Masons aren't the same as Freemasons. And that's not the same as the Illuminati. And that's not the same as the Templars. And so it's like, even in those four things I said, how many people that just say, oh, those are the Masons. And that's not even the Shriners. And that's not even the, and so it's just like, I just think most people don't even know what the hell they're talking about.
They
And so
don't.
these easy
Agreed.
words that they can grab at. So it's just the same as Kim Kardashian holding a Cheeto bag being like, orange man bad. I feel like it's that same kind of marketing over and over again. And so I don't know.
Projection.
Anyways, yeah, you can get good checkerboard merch at projectchaney.com. And thank you guys for joining us. We love you so much. And we will be back next week with
Love you guys.
something else fun.
Yeah.
So, okay.
More to
Bye-bye.
come.
pussy now this morning. Oh, Mommy, I got my pussy. Please run to me and let me see. Oh, she's a bunny, y'all. She's a bunny this morning. Come here, bunny girl. Come here, bunny girl. Oh, I'm so fast, Mommy. I'm so...
Comedy meets cosmic adventure. Chaos Twins, created by comedian Sam Tripoli and comic publisher Paranoid American, will sweep you off your feet. Join two girls with the astonishing ability to morph into animals, rally with their cryptid crew, and traverse diverse dimensions. But you don't have to take my word for it. Sign up now at chaostwins.com. In a place as curious as Crown City, adventure awaits at every turn. Meet Anna and Becca, two spirited souls navigating a world filled with wonders and weirdness, alongside their trusted allies, Biggie, Matilda, and the Chupacabros. They'll stand against aliens, reptilians, and mysteries beyond imagination. Dive into their captivating tales and discover a world where anything is possible. For more information, visit chaostwins.com, samtripoli.com, and paranoidamerican.com.